Rhymes of a Red Cross Man. By Robert W. Service. Foreword. I've tinkered at my bits of rhymes. In weary, woeful, waiting times. In doleful hours of battle din. Ere yet they brought the wounded in. Through vigils of the fateful night. In lousy barns by candlelight. In dugouts, sagging and aflood. On stretchers stiff and bleared with blood. By ragged grove, by ruined road. By hearths accursed where love abode. By broken altars, blackened shrines. I've tinkered at my bits of rhymes. I've solaced me with scraps of song. The desolated ways along. Through sickly fields all shrapnel sown. And meadows reaped by death alone. By blazing cross and splintered spire. By headless virgin in the mire. By gardens gashed amid their bloom. By gutted grave, by shattered tomb. Beside the dying and the dead. Where rocket green and rocket red. In trembling pools of poising light. With flowers of flame festoon the night. Ah me! By what dark ways of wrong. I've cheered my heart with scraps of song. So here's my sheaf of war-won verse. And some is bad, and some is worse. And if at times I curse a bit, you needn't read that part of it. For through it all like horror runs the red resentment of the guns. And you yourself would mutter when you took the things that once were men, and sped them through that zone of hate, to where the dripping surgeons wait, and wonder too if in God's sight war ever can be right. Yet may it not be, crime and war, but effort misdirected are. And if there's good in war and crime, there may be in my bits of rhyme. My songs from out the slaughter mill. So take or leave them as you will. The Call. France, August 1st, 1914. Far and near, high and clear. Hark to the call of war. Over the gorse and the golden dells. Ringing and swinging of clamorous bells. Praying and saying of wild farewells. War. 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 High and low, all must go. Hark to the shout of war. Leave to the women the harvest yield. Gird ye, men, for the sinister field. A saber instead of a scythe to wield. War. Red war. Rich and poor, lord and boor. Hark to the blast of war. Tinker and tailor and millionaire. Actor in triumph and priest in prayer. Comrades now in the hell out there. Sweep to the fire of war. Prince and page, sot and sage. Hark to the roar of war. Poet, professor and circus clown. Chimney sweeper and fop the town. Into the pot and be melted down. Into the pot of war. Women all, hear the call. The pitiless call of war. Look your last on your dearest ones. Brothers and husbands, fathers, sons. Swift they go to the ravenous guns. The gluttonous guns of war. Everywhere thrill the air. The maniac bells of war. There will be little of sleeping tonight. There will be wailing and weeping tonight. Death's red sickle is reaping tonight. War. 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 How do you find this book? Any thoughts about the book or the author? Any suggestion for improvement? Please take a moment to share your thoughts in a comment. If you like it, share it with your friends who might enjoy it as well. Subscribe to keep in touch. Visit CompleteAudiobooks.com for more quality content. The Fool. But it isn't playing the game, he said. And he slammed his books away. The Latin and Greek I've got in my head. Will do for a duller day. Rubbish. I cried, the bugle's call. Isn't for lads from school. D'ye think he'd listen? Oh, not at all. So I called him a fool, a fool. Now there's his dog by his empty bed. And the flute he used to play. And his favorite bat. But Dick he's dead. Somewhere in France, they say. Dick with his rapture of song and sun. Dick of the yellow hair. Dickie whose life had but begun. Carrion cold out there. Look at his prizes all in a row. Surely a hint of fame. Now he's finished with nothing to show. Doesn't it seem a shame? Look from the window. All you see was to be his one day. Forest and furrow, lawn and lea. And he goes and chucks it away. Chucks it away to die in the dark. Somebody saw him fall. Part of him mud, part of him blood. The rest of him, not at all. And yet I'll bet he was never afraid. And he went as the best of them go. For his hand was clenched on his broken blade. And his face was turned to the foe. And I called him a fool, oh how blind was I. And the cup of my grief's abrim. Will glory, oh England, ever die? So long as we've lads like him. So long as we've fond and fearless fools. Who, spurning fortune and fame, turn out with the rallying cry of their schools. Just bent on playing the game. A fool. Ah no. He was more than wise. His was the proudest part. He died with the glory of faith in his eyes. And the glory of love in his heart. And though there's never a grave to tell, nor a cross to mark his fall, thank God, we know that he batted well. In the last great game of all. The volunteer. Says I, my country calls. Well, let it call. I grins politely and declines with thanks. Go, let 'em plaster every blighted wall. Erst one they don't stampede into the ranks. Them politicians with their greasy ways. Them empire grabbers, fight for 'em. No fear. I've seen this mess comin' from the days of Algeciras and Agadir. I've felt me passion rise and swell. But, what the hell, Bill? What the hell? Says I, my country. Mine. I likes their cheek. Me mud bespattered by the cars they drive. What makes my measly 30 bob a week? And sweats red blood to keep meself alive. Fight for the right to slave that they may spend. Them in their mansions, me, in my slum. No, let them fight what's something to defend. But me, I've nothin', let the Kaiser come. And so I cusses, hard and well. But. What the hell, Bill? What the hell? Says I, if they would do the decent thing. And shield the Missis and the little UNS. Why, even I might shout, God save the King. And face the chances of them ungry guns. But we've got 3, another on the way. It's that what makes me snarl and set me jaw. The wife and nippers, what of 'em, I say. If I gets knocked out in this blasted war. Gets proper busted by a shell. But, what the hell, Bill? What the hell? What the hell's the use of all this talk? Today some boys in blue was passin' me. And some of 'em they 'ad no legs to walk. And some of 'em they 'ad no eyes to see. And, well, I couldn't look 'em in the face. And so I'm goin' to declare. I'm under 41 and take me place. To face the music with the bunch out there. A fool, you say. Maybe you're right. I'll have no peace unless I fight. I've ceased to think, I only know. I've gotta go, Bill, gotta go. The Convalescent. So I walked among the willows very quietly all night. There was no moon at all, no timid star alight. There was no light at all. I went from tree to tree. And I called him as his mother called, but he never answered me. Oh, I called him all the night time, as I walked the wood alone. And I listened, but I never heard a moan. Then I found him at the dawnin', when the sorry sky was red. I was lookin' for the livin', but I only found the dead. Sure I know that it was Seamus by the silver cross he wore. But the bugles they were calling, and I heard the cannon roar. Oh, I had no time to tarry, so I said a little prayer. And I clasped his hands together, and I left him lying there. Now the birds are singing, singing, and I'm home in Donegal. And it's springtime, and I'm thinking that I only dreamed it all. I dreamed about that evil wood, all crowded with its dead. Where I knelt beside me brother when the battle dawn was red. Where I prayed beside me brother ere I went to fight anew. Such dreams as these are evil dreams. I can't believe it's true. Where all is love and laughter, sure it's hard to think of loss. But mother's saying nothing, and she clasps a silver cross. The man from Athabaska. Oh, the wife she tried to tell me that 'twas nothing but the thrumming of a woodpecker rapping on the hollow of a tree. And she thought that I was fooling when I said it was the drumming of the mustering of legions, and 'twas calling unto me. 'Twas calling me to pull my freight and hop across the sea. And a mending of my fish nets sure I started up in wonder. For I heard a savage roaring and 'twas coming from afar. Oh, the wife she tried to tell me that 'twas only summer thunder. And she laughed a bit sarcastic when I told her it was war. 'Twas the chariots of battle where the mighty armies are. Then down the lake came half-breed Tom with russet sail flying. And the word he said was, war, again, so what was I to do? Oh, the dogs they took to howling, and the missus took to crying. As I flung my silver foxes in the little birch canoe. Yes, the old girl stood blubbing till an island hid the view. Says the factor, Mike, you're crazy. They have soldier men plenty. You're as grizzled as a badger, and you're 60 year or so. But I haven't missed a scrap, says I, since I was 21. And shall I miss the biggest? You can bet your whiskers, no. So I sold my furs and started, and that's 18 months ago. For I joined the Foreign Legion, and they put me for a starter. In the trenches of the Argonne with the Boche a step away. And the partner on my right hand was an Apache from Montmartre. On my left there was a millionaire from Pittsburgh, USA. Poor fellow. They collected him in bits the other day. But I'm spreer than a chipmunk, save a touch of the lumbago. And they calls me Old Methuselah, and blogs me all the day. I'm their exhibition sniper, and they work me like a dago. And laugh to see me plug a Boche a half a mile away. Oh, I hold the highest record in the regiment, they say. And at night they gather round me, and I tell them of my roaming. In the country of the crepuscule beside the frozen sea. Where the muskox runs unchallenged, and the caribou goes homing. And they sit like little children, just as quiet as can be. Men of every crime and color, how they hearken unto me. And I tell them of the fur land, of the tumpline in the paddle. Of secret rivers loitering, that no one will explore. And I tell them of the ranges, of the pack strap and the saddle. And they fill their pipes in silence, and their eyes beseech for more. While above the starshells fizzle and the high explosives roar. And I tell of lakes fish-haunted, where the big bull moose are calling. And forests still as sepulchres with never trail or track. And valleys packed with purple gloom, and mountain peaks appalling. And I tell them of my cabin on the shore at Fond du Lac. And I find myself thinking, sure I wish that I was back. So I brag of bear and beaver while the batteries are roaring. And the fellows on the firing steps are blazing at the foe. And I yarn of fur and feather when the marmites are soaring. And they listen to my stories, 7 poilus in a row. 7 lean and lousy poilus with their cigarettes aglow. And I tell them when it's over how I'll hike for Athabaska. And those 7 greasy poilus, they are crazy to go too. And I'll give the wife the pickle tub I promised, and I'll ask her the price of mink and marten, and the run of caribou. And I'll get my traps in order, and I'll start to work anew. For I've had my fill of fighting, and I've seen a nation scattered. And an army swung to slaughter, and a river red with gore. And a city all a smoulder, and as if it really mattered. For the lake is yonder dreaming, and my cabin's on the shore. And the dogs are leaping madly, and the wife is singing gladly. And I'll rest in Athabaska, and I'll leave it nevermore. The Red Retreat. Tramp, tramp, the grim road, the road from Mons to Wipers. I've 'ammered out this ditty with me bruised and bleedin' feet. Tramp, tramp, the dim road, we didn't ave no pipers. And bellies that was aller was the drums we 'ad to beat. Tramp, tramp, the bad road, the bits o' kiddies cryin' there. The fell birds a flyin' there, the boozes all aflame. Tramp, tramp, the sad road, the pals I left a lyin' there. Red there, and dead there. Oh blimey, it's a shame. A singin' "Who's your lady friend," we started out from Arver. A singin' till our throats was dry, we didn't care a on. The Frenchies, ow they lined the way, and slung us their palaver. And all we knowed to answer was the one word, vang. They gave us booze and capril, and cheered for us like crazy. And all the pretty gels was out to kiss us as we passed. And, ow they all went dotty when we old the Marseillaise. Oh, God! Them was the 'appy days, the days too good to last. We started out for God knows where, we started out a roarin'. We ollered, ere we are again, and struth. But we was dry. The dust was gummin' up our ears, and ow the sweat was pourin'. The road was long, the sun was like a brazier in the sky. We wondered where the UNS was, we wasn't long a wonderin'. For down a scruff of hillside they rushes like a flood. Then oh! 'Twas music heavenly, our batteries a thunderin'. And arms and legs went soarin' in the fountain of their blood. For on they came like bee swarms, a hotchin' and a singin'. We pumped the bullets into em, we couldn't miss a shot. But though we mowed em down like grass was they a springin'. And all our hands was blistered, for our rifles was so ot. We roared with battle fury, and we lammed the stuffin' out of em. And then we fixed our bayonets and we spitted em like meat. You should ave heard the beggars squeal. You should ave seen the rout of em. And ow we cussed and wondered when the word came, retreat. Retreat. That was the L of it. It fair upset our habits. A runnin' from them blighters over alf the roads of France. A scurryin' before em like a lot of blurry rabbits. And knowin' we could smash em if we just 'ad alf a chance. Retreat. That was the bitter bit, a limpin' and a blunderin'. All day and night a hoofin' it and sleepin' on our feet. A fightin' rear guard actions for a bit o' rest, and wonderin' if sugar beets or mangles was the wholesomest to eat. Oh yes, there isn't many left that started out so cheerily. There was no bands a playin' and we 'ad no automobiles. Our tummies they was aller, and our eads was engin' wearily. And if we stopped to light a fag the UNS was on our heels. That rotten road. I can't forget the kids and mothers flyin' there. The bits of barns a blazin' and the horrid sights I saw. The stiffs that lined the wayside, me own pals a lyin' there. Their faces covered over with a little EAP of straw. Tramp, tramp, the red road, the wicked bullets hummin'. I've panted out this ditty with me ot hard breath. Tramp, tramp, the dread road, the Boches all a comin'. The lootin' and the shootin' and the shrieks o' death. Tramp, tramp, the fell road, the mad ord pursuin' there. And ow we hurled it back again, them grim, grey waves. Tramp, tramp, the L road, the horror and the ruin there. The graves of me mateys there, the grim, sour graves. The Haggis of Private McPhee. Hey ye heard wit ma auld mithers postit te me? It fair maks me hamesick, says Private McPhee. And wit did she send ye, says Private McPhun. As he cocked his rifle and bleezed at a Hun. A Haggis. A haggis, says Private McPhee. The brawest big haggis I ever did see. And think. It's the morn when fond memory turns. Tay haggis and wusky, the birthday oak burns. We maun find a dram. Then we'll see in the rest. Oh, the lads, and we'll hae a burns nicht why, the best. Be ready at sundown, snapped Sergeant McCole. I want you 2 men for the listening patrol. Then Private McPhee looked at Private McPhun. I'm thinkin', ma lad, we're confoundedly done. Then Private McPhun looked at Private McPhee. I'm thinkin', old chap, it's a F.Y. goor spree. But up spoke their crony, wee Wooly McNair. Jist Leah, your braw haggis for me to prepare. And as for the dram, if I search the camp roon, we maun hae a drappy te jist haud it doon. Sae rin, lads, and think, though the nicht it be black. Oh, the haggis that's waitin' ye when ye get back. My! But it wis waesome on naebody's land. And the dade they were wrought tin on every hand. And the rockets like corpse candles haunted the sky. And the winds destruction went shudderin' by. There wis skelpin' bullets and skirlin' shells. And breengin' bombs and a thusan death knells. But Coorian doon in a Jack Johnson hole. Little fash the TWA men the listening patrol. For sweeter than honey and bricked as a gem. Wis the thocht the haggis that waited for them. Yet alas! In our moments sunniest cheer. Calamities aften maced cruelly near. And while the TWA talked their puddin' divine. The Boches below them were howkin a mine. And while the TWA cracked the feast they would hae. The fuse it was burnin' and burnin' away. Then sudden a roar like the thunner doom. A hell leap flame, then the wheesht the tomb. Ha, Jock! Are ye heard it? Says Private McPhun. Aye, Geordie, they've got me, I'm fearin' I'm done. It's ma leg, I'm just thinkin' it's aft at the knee. Ye'd best gang and leave me, says Private McPhee. Oh leave ye I wanna, says Private McPhun. And leave ye I canna, for though I micht run. It's no for I would gang, it's no muckle I'd see. I'm blinded, and that's wits the mater why me. Then Private McPhee sadly shock hit his hide. If we bide here for lang, we'll be bidden for dade. And yet, Geordie lad, I could gang will content. If I'd tasted that haggis ma auld mither sent. That's droll, says McPhun. Ye've just speak it ma mind. Oh I ken it's a terrible thing to be blind. And yet it's no that embitters ma lot. It's missin' that braw muckle haggis ye've got. For a while they were silent. Then up once again. Spoke Private McPhee, though he wustled why, pain. And why should we miss it? Between you and me. We've legs for te run, and we've eyes for te see. You lend me your shanks and I'll lend you ma sicht. And we'll baith hae a kite foo haggis the nicht. The sky it was darlike and dreepin' a wee. When Private McPhun gruppit Private McPhee. The glore it was filin' and cretin' the grun. When Private McPhee get it Private McPhun. Keep clear them corpses, there may be no dade. Haud on. There's a big muckle crater ahead. Look OOT. There's a sap. We'll be hain a coup. A store shell. For God's sake. Down, lad, on your dop. Bear aft your richt. Ah you're just dayin' fine. Before the nix finished on haggis will dine. There was death and destruction on every hand. There was havoc and horror on naebody's land. And the shells bickered down why, a crump and a glare. And the hameless wee bullets were dingin' the air. Yet on they went staggerin', coorian down. When the stutter and cluck a maxim crept roon. And the legs McPhun they were sturdy and stood. And McPhee on his back kept a bonny look OOT. On, ma brave lad. We're no for frae the goal. I can hear the braw swearin', oh, Sergeant McCole. But strength has its limit, and Private McPhun. Why, a sab and a curse fell his length on the grun. Then Private McPhee shouted doon in his ear. Just think oh, the haggis. I smell it from here. It's gushin' white juice, it's embalmin' the air. It's steamin' for us, and we're, just, a boot, there. Then Private McPhun answers, Dommit, old chap. For the sake oh, that haggis I'll gang till I drap. And he gets on his feet why, a heave and a strain. And onward he staggers in passion and pain. And the flare and the glare and the fury increase. Till you'd think they'd just taken a hell on a lease. And on they go reelin', in pitiful plight. And someone is shoutin' away on their right. And someone is runnin', and no they can hear. A sound like a prayer and a sound like a cheer. And swift through the crash and the flash and the din. The lads oh, the Heelans are bringin' them in. They're baith sairly wounded, but is it no droll? Who they rave a boot haggis, says Sergeant McCole. When hurplin' along comes wee Wooly McNair. And they wondered why he was greetin' sae sair. And he says, I just lifted it the pot. And there it lay steamin' and savoury hot. When sudden I dooked at the fleech a shell. And it, drapped on the haggis and dinged it tae hell. And but the lads were fair taken aback. Then sudden the order whisked past tae attack. And up from the trenches like lions they leapt. And on through the nick like a torrent they swept. On, why, their bayonets thirstin' before. On tae the foe why, a rush and a roar. And wild to the welkin their battle cry rang. And doon on the Boches like tigers they sprang. And there wisna a man but had death in his ee. For he thought the haggis Private McPhee. The Lark. From wrath-red dawn to wrath-red dawn. The guns have brayed without abate. And now the sick sun looks upon the bleared, blood-boltered fields of hate. As if it loathed to rise again. How strange the hush! Yet sudden, hark! From yon downtrodden gold of grain. The leaping rapture of a lark. A fusillade of melody. That sprays us from yon trench of sky. A new amazing enemy. We cannot silence though we try. A battery on radiant wings. That from yon gap of golden fleece. Hurls at us hopes of such strange things. As joy and home and love and peace. Pure heart of song. Do you not know that we are making earth a hell? Or is it that you try to show life still is joy and all is well? Brave little wings. Ah, not in vain. You beat into that bit of blue. Lo! We who pant in war's red rain. Lift shining eyes, see heaven too. The Odyssey of Erbert, Iggins. Me and Ed and a stretcher. Out on the neutral ground. If there's one dead corpse, I'll betcher. There's a undread smellin' around. Me and Eddie O'Brien. Both of the R.A.M.C. It's a hell of a night. For a soul to take flight. As Eddie remarks to me. Me and Ed crawlin' homeward. Thinkin' our job is done. When sudden and clear. What do we gear? Owl of a wounded Got to take snaps Eddie. Got to take all we can. May be a germ. With the hurt of a worm. But, blarst ain't a man. So, sloshes out fixin' a dressin'. Ed always a medical knack. When that wounded rolls to his gun. And plugs me pal in the back. Now what would you do? I arst you. There was me slaughtered mate. There was that I'd collared his gun. A snarlin' is YMN of 8. What did I do? Whisper. Ed a shiny bald top to, is EAD. But when I got through. Between me and you. It was horrid and jaggy and red. On like a limpet, Eddie. Thank Gord. You ain't dead after all. It's slow and it's sure and it's steady. Which is hard, for E's big and I'm small. The rockets are shootin' and churnin'. It's rainin' a perishin flood. The bullets are buzzin' and whinin'. And I'm up to me stern in the mud. There's all kinds of owlin' and hootin'. It's black as a bucket of tar. Oh, I'm doin' my bit. But I'm avin' a fit. And I wish I was home with March. Stick on like a plaster, Eddie. Old sport, you're slackin' your grip. Gord. But I'm crocky already. My feet, ow they slither and slip. There goes the biff of a bullet. The Boches have got us for fair. Another one, what? The son of a slut. He managed to miss by a air. Ow. What was it jabbed at me shoulder? Gave it a dose of a wrench. Is it Eddie or me? What's a bleedin' so free? Crust. But it's long to the trench. I ain't just as strong as a Sando. And Ed ain't a flapper by far. I'm blamed if I understand how. We've managed to get where we are. But here's for a bit of a breather. Steady there, Ed, Arfamo. Old pal, it's all right. It's a hell of a fight. But are we downhearted? No oh. Now war is a funny thing, ain't it? It's the rummiest sort of a go. For when it's most real. It's then that you feel. You're a watchin' a cinema show. Here's me what's a barber's assistant. Hey, presto. It's somewheres in France. And I'm hair in a pit. Where a coal box as it. And it's all like a giddy romance. The ruddy quick-firers are spittin'. The EVs are bellowin' 8. And ere I am casually sittin'. And olden the EAD of me mate. Them ghastly green starshells is beamin'. OT shrapnel is poppin' like rain. And I'm sayin', Bert Iggins, you're dreamin'. And you'll wake up in Amstead again. You'll wake up and hear yourself sayin'. Would you like, sir, to have a shampoo? 'Stead of shed din, your blood. In the rain and the mud. Which is somehow the right thing to do. Which is somehow your ori-eyed duty. What you're doin', the best what you can. For Amstead and home and beauty. And you've been and you've slaughtered a man. A feller what punctured your partner. Oh, you hammered him hard on the EAD. And you still see his eyes. Starin' bang at the skies. And you ain't even sorry he's dead. But you wish you was back in your diggins. Asleep on your moldy old straw. Oh, you're doin' your bit, Erbert, Iggins. But you ain't just enjoyin' the war. On like a octopus, Eddie. It's us for the bomb belt again. Except for the shrap. Which as it me a tap. I'm feelin' as right as the rain. It's my silly old feet what are slippin'. It's as dark as a Ogsiado sin. But don't be uneasy, my pippin. I'm goin' to pilot you in. It's my silly old EAD what is reelin'. The bullets is buzzin' like bees. Me shoulders red OT. And I'm bleedin' a lot. And me legs is oninged at the knees. But we're staggerin' nearer and nearer. Just stick it, old sport, play the game. I make em out clearer and clearer. Our trenches snappin' with flame. Oh, we're stumblin' closer and closer. On there, lad. Just one more try. Did you say, put you down? Damn it, no, sir. I'll carry you in if I die. By cracky. Old feller, they've seen us. They're sendin' out stretchers for two. Let's give em the hurrah between us. Anged lucky we aren't booked through. My flipper is mashed to a jelly. A bullet as tickled your spleen. We've shed lots of gore. And we're leakin' some more. But, what a occasion it's been. Ho! 'Ere comes the rescuin' party. They're crawlin' out cautious and slow. Come! Buck up and greet 'em, my hurdy. Shoulder to shoulder, so. They mustn't think we was down-earted. Old pal, we was never down-earted. If they arsts us if we was down-earted. We'll owl in their faces, no-o. A song of winter weather. It isn't the foe that we fear. It isn't the bullets that whine. It isn't the business career of a shell, or the bust of a mine. It isn't the snipers who seek to nip our young hopes in the bud. No, it isn't the guns. And it isn't the Huns. It's the MUD. 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 It isn't the melee we mind. That often is rather good fun. It isn't the shrapnel we find obtrusive when rained by the ton. It isn't the bounce of the bombs that gives us a positive pain. It's the strafing we get when the weather is wet. It's the rain. 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 It isn't because we lack grit. We shrink from the horrors of war. We don't mind the battle a bit. In fact, that is what we are for. It isn't the rum jars and things make us wish we were back in the fold. It's the fingers that freeze in the boreal breeze. It's the cold. 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 Oh, the rain, the mud, and the cold. The cold, the mud, and the rain. With weather at zero it's hard for a hero. From language that's rude to refrain. With porridgey muck to the knees. With sky that's pouring a flood. Sure the worst of our foes are the pains and the woes of the rain, the cold, and the MUD. Tipperary Days. Oh, weren't they the fine boys? You never saw the beat of them. Singing all together with their throats bronze bare. Fighting fit and mirth mad, music in the feet of them. Swinging on to glory and the wrath out there. Laughing by and chaffing by, frolic in the smiles of them. On the road, the white road, all the afternoon. Strangers in a strange land, miles and miles and miles of them. Battle-bound and heart-high, and singing this tune. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary. And the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly. Farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary. But my heart's right there. Come, Yvonne and Juliet. Come, Mimi, and cheer for them. Throw them flowers and kisses as they pass you by. Aren't they the lovely lads? Haven't you a tear for them? Going out so gallantly to dare and die. What is it they're singing so? Some high hymn of motherland. Some immortal chanson of their faith and king. Marseillaise, or Brabant on, anthem of that other land. Dears, let us remember it, that song they sing. Say un chemin long to Tipperary. Say un chemin long, c'est vrai. Say un chemin long to Tipperary. Et la belle fille que j'y connaisse. Bonjour, Piccadilly. Au revoir, Leicester Square. Say un chemin long to Tipperary. Mais mon cœur es sire. The gallant old contemptibles. There isn't much remains of them. So full of fun and fitness, and singing in their pride. For some are cold as clabber and the corby picks the brains of them. And some are back in Blighty, and wishing they had died. And yet it seems but yesterday, that great, glad sight of them. Swinging on to battle as the sky grew black and black. But oh their glee and glory, and the great, grim fight of them. Just whistle Tipperary and it all comes back. It's a long way to Tipperary. Which means, anywhere. It's a long way to Tipperary. And the things what make you care. Goodbye, Piccadilly. Ow, I 'opes my folks is well. It's a long, long way to Tipperary. Ain't war just hell. Fleurette. The wounded Canadian speaks. My leg? It's off at the knee. Do I miss it? Well, some. You see. I've had it since I was born. And lately a devilish corn. I rather chuckle with glee. To think how I've fooled that corn. But I'll hobble around all right. It isn't that, it's my face. Oh, I know I'm a hideous sight. Hardly a thing in place. Sort of gargoyle, you'd say. Nurse won't give me a glass. But I see the folks as they pass. Shudder and turn away. Turn away in distress. Mirror enough, I guess. I'm gay. You bet I am gay. But I wasn't a while ago. If you'd seen me even today. The darndest picture of woe. With this Caliban mug of mine. So ravaged and raw and red. Turned to the wall, in fine. Wishing that I was dead. What has happened since then? Since I lay with my face to the wall. The most despairing of men. Listen. I'll tell you all. That poilu across the way. With the shrapnel wound in his head. Has a sister, she came today. To sit a while by his bed. All morning I heard him fret. Oh, when will she come, Fleurette? Then sudden, a joyous cry. The tripping of little feet. The softest, tenderest sigh. A voice so fresh and sweet. Clear as a silver bell. Fresh as the morning dews. Say toi, Marcel. Mon frère, comme je suis heureuse. So over the blanket's rim. I raised my terrible face. And I saw, how I envied him. A girl of such delicate grace. 16, all laughter and love. As gay as a linnet, and yet. As tenderly sweet as a dove. Half woman, half child, Fleurette. Then I turned to the wall again. I was awfully blue, you see. And I thought with a bitter pain. Such visions are not for me. So there like a log I lay. All hidden, I thought, from view. When sudden I heard her say. Ah! Who is that, Maluriax? Then briefly I heard him tell. However he came to know. How I'd smothered a bomb that fell. Into the trench, and so. None of my men were hit. Though it busted me up a bit. Well, I didn't quiver an eye. And he chattered and there she sat. And I fancied I heard her sigh. But I wouldn't just swear to that. And maybe she wasn't so bright. Though she talked in a merry strain. And I closed my eyes ever so tight. Yet I saw her ever so plain. Her dear little tilted nose. Her delicate, dimpled chin. Her mouth like a budding rose. And the glistening pearls within. Her eyes like the violet. Such a rare little queen, Fleurette. And at last when she rose to go. The light was a little dim. And I ventured to peep, and so. I saw her, graceful and slim. And she kissed him, and oh. How I envied and envied him. So when she was gone I said. In rather a dreary voice. To him of the opposite bed. Ah, friend, how you must rejoice. But me, I'm a thing of dread. For me nevermore the bliss. The thrill of a woman's kiss. Then I stopped, for lo! She was there. And a great light shone in her eyes. And me. I could only stare. I was taken so by surprise. When gently she bent her head. May I kiss you, Sergeant, she said. Then she kissed my burning lips. With her mouth like a scented flower. And I thrilled to the fingertips. And I hadn't even the power to say, God bless you, dear. And I felt such a precious tear fall on my withered cheek. And darn it, I couldn't speak. And so she went sadly away. And I knew that my eyes were wet. Ah, not to my dying day will I forget. Can you wonder now I am gay? God bless her, that little Fleurette. Funk. When your marrow-bone seems baller. And you're glad you ain't no taller. And you're all shaken like you add the chills. When your skin creeps like a pullet's. And you're duckin' all the bullets. And you're green as gorgonzola round the gills. When your legs seem made of jelly. And you're squeamish in the belly. And you want to turn about and do a bunk. For God's sake, kid, don't show it. Don't let your mateys know it. You're just sufferin' from funk. Of course there's no denying that it ain't so easy tryin' to grin and grip your rifle by the butt when the 'ole world rips asunder and you sees your pal go under as a bunch of shrapnel sprays 'im on the nut. I admit it's 'ard contrivin' when you ears the shells airivin' to discover you're a bloomin' bit o' spunk. But, my lad, you've got to do it. And your God will see you through it. For what Atesh is funk. So stand up, son, look gritty. And just, a lively ditty. And only be afraid to be afraid. Just hold your rifle steady. And ave your bayonet ready. For that's the way good soldier-men is made. And if you, as to die, as it sometimes appends, why? Far better die a barrow than a skunk. A doin' of your bit. And so, to 'ell with it. There ain't no bloomin' funk. Our hero. Flowers, only flowers, bring me dainty posies. Blossoms for forgetfulness, that was all he said. So we sacked our gardens, violets and roses. Lilies white and bluebells laid we on his bed. Soft his pale hands touched them, tenderly caressing. Soft into his tired eyes came a little light. Such a wistful love look, gentle as a blessing. There amid the flowers waited he the night. I would have you raise me. I can see the west then. I would see the sun set once before I go. So he lay gazing, seemed to be at rest then. Quiet as a spirit in the golden glow. So he lay watching rosy castles crumbling. Moats of blinding amber, bastions of flame. Rugged rifts of opal, crimson turrets tumbling. So he lay dreaming till the shadows came. Open wide the window, there's a lark singing. There's a glad lark singing in the evening sky. How it's wild with rapture, radiantly winging. Oh, it's good to hear that when one has to die. I am horror-haunted from the hell they found me. I am battle-broken, all I want is rest. Ah! It's good to die so, blossoms all around me. And a kind lark singing in the golden west. Flowers, song and sunshine, just one thing is wanting. Just the happy laughter of a little child. So we brought our dearest, Doris all enchanting. Tenderly he kissed her, radiant he smiled. In the golden peacetime you will tell the story. How for you and yours, sweet, bitter deaths were ours. God bless little children. So he passed to glory. So we left him sleeping, still amid the flowers. My mate. I've been sittin', starin' at his muddy pair of boots. And tryin' to convince meself it's 'im. Look out there, lad. That sniper, he's a dicey when he shoots. He'll be layin' of you out the same as Jim. Jim as lies there in the dugout with his blanket round his EAD. To keep his brains from mixin' with the mud. And his face as white as putty, and his overcoat all red. Like he's spilt a bloomin' paint pot, but it's blood. And I'm tryin' to remember of a time we wasn't pals. How often we've played hooky, him and me. And sometimes it was music-halls, and sometimes it was gals. And even there we had no disagree. For when copped Mariar Jones, the one I liked the best, I shook his hand and loaned him half a quid. I saw him through the parson's job, I helped him make his nest. I even stood godfather to the kid. So when the war broke out, says he, well, what about it, Joe? Well, what about it, lad, says I to him. His missus made a awful fuss, but he was mad to go. He always was, I spirited was Jim. Well, none of it's been even, and the most of it's been hell. But we've shared our bocce, and we've alved our bread. We'd all the luck at Wipers, and we shaved through Neuve Chapelle. And that snipin' bastard gets him on the EAD. Now what I wants to know is, why it wasn't me was took. I've only got myself, he stands for 3. I'm plainer than a louse, while he was handsome as a duck. He always was a better man than me. He was goin' home next Tuesday. He was happy as a lark. And Ed just received a letter from his kid. And he struck a match to show me, as we stood there in the dark. When that bleedin' bullet got him on the lid. He was killed so awful sudden that he hadn't time to die. He sorto jumped, and came down with a thud. Them corpsey lookin' star shells kept streamin' in the sky. And there he lay like nothin' in the mud. And there he lay so quiet with no mansard to his EAD. And I'm sick, and blamed if I can understand. The pots of Alf and Alf we've had, and zip. Like that, he's dead. With the letter of his nipper in his hand. There's some as fights for freedom and there's some as fights for fun. But me, my lad, I fights for bleedin' 8. You can blame the war and blast it, but I hopes it won't be done. Till I gets the bloomin' blood price for me mate. It'll take a bit bayonet to level up for Jim. Then if I'm spared I think I'll ave a bid. With or that was Mariar Jones to take the place of him. To sorter be a father to his kid. Milking time. There's a drip of honeysuckle in the deep green lane. There's old Martin jogging homeward on his worn old wain. There are cherry petals falling, and a cuckoo calling. And a score of larks, God bless em. But it's all pain. For you see I am not really there at all, not at all. For you see I'm in the trenches where the crumps fall. And the bits shells are screaming and it's only blessed dreaming. That in fancy I am seeming back in old St. Paul. Oh, I've thought of it so often since I've come down here. And I never dreamt that any place could be so dear. The silvered whinstone houses, and the rosy men in blouses. And the kindly, white-capped women with their eyes spring-clear. And mothers sitting knitting where her roses climb. And the Angelus is calling with a soft chime. And the sea wind comes caressing, and the light's a golden blessing. And Yvonne is guessing that it's milking time. Oh, it's Sunday, for she's wearing of her broidered gown. And she draws the pasture pickets and the cows come down. And their feet are powdered yellow, and their voices honey mellow. And they bring a scent of clover, and their eyes are brown. And Yvonne is dreaming after, but her eyes are blue. And her lips are made for laughter, and her white teeth too. And her mouth is like a cherry, and a dimple mocking Mary is lurking in the very cheek she turns to you. So I walk beside her kindly, and she laughs at me. And I heap her arms with lilac from the lilac tree. And a golden light is welling, and a golden peace is dwelling. And 1,000 birds are telling how it's good to be. And what are pouting lips for if they can't be kissed? And I've filled her arms with blossom so she can't resist. And the cows are sadly straying, and her mother must be saying that Yvonne is long delaying. God! How close that missed! A nice polite reminder that the Boche are nigh. That we're here to fight like devils, and if need be die. That from kissing pretty wenches to the frantic firing benches of the battered, tattered trenches is a far, far cry. Yet still I'm sitting dreaming in the glare and grime. And once again I'm hearing of them church bells chime. And how I wonder whether in the golden summer weather we will fetch the cows together when it's milking time. English voice, months later. Ow Bill. A rotten Frenchy. Phew. Ain't arf prime. Young fellow my lad. Where are you going, young fellow my lad? On this glittering morn of May? I'm going to join the colors, Dad. They're looking for men, they say. But you're only a boy, young fellow my lad. You aren't obliged to go. I'm 17 and a quarter, Dad. And ever so strong, you know. So you're off to France, young fellow my lad. And you're looking so fit and bright. I'm terribly sorry to leave you, Dad. But I feel that I'm doing right. God bless you and keep you, young fellow my lad. You're all of my life, you know. Don't worry. I'll soon be back, dear Dad. And I'm awfully proud to go. Why don't you write, young fellow my lad? I watch for the post each day. And I miss you so, and I'm awfully sad. And it's months since you went away. And I've had the fire in the parlor lit. And I'm keeping it burning bright. Till my boy comes home, and here I sit. Into the quiet night. What is the matter, young fellow my lad? No letter again today. Why did the postman look so sad? And sigh as he turned away. I hear them tell that we've gained new ground. But a terrible price we've paid. God grant, my boy, that you're safe and sound. But oh, I'm afraid, afraid. They've told me the truth, young fellow my lad. You'll never come back again. Oh God! The dreams and the dreams I've had. And the hopes I've nursed in vain. For you passed in the night, young fellow my lad. And you proved in the cruel test of the screaming shell and the battle hell, that my boy was one of the best. So you'll live, young fellow my lad. In the gleam of the evening star. In the wood note wild and the laugh of the child. In all sweet things that are. And you'll never die, my wonderful boy. While life is noble and true. For all our beauty and hope and joy. We will owe to our lads like you. A song of the Sandbags. No, Bill, I'm not spooning out no patriotic tosh. The cove BND the Sandbags ain't a death or glory cuss. And though I strafes am good and, ard I doesn't ate the Boche. I guess they're mostly decent, just the same as most of us. I guess they loves their ohms and kids as much as you or me. And just the same as you or me they'd rather shake than fight. And if we'd been to be born at Berlin on the Spree, we'd be out there with ANS and Fritz, dead sure that we was right. Standin' up to the Sandbags. It's funny the thoughts what come. Starin' into the darkness. Earin' the bullets, Zing. Zip. Ping. Rip. Arc, ow the bullets, leanin' against the Sandbags. With me rifle under me ear. Oh, I've 'ad more thoughts on a centrigo than I used to ave in a year. I wonder, Bill, if ANS and Fritz is wonderin' like me. What's at the bottom of it all? What all the slaughters for? Thinks he's right, of course he ain't, but this we both agree. If them as made it 'ad to fight, there wouldn't be no war. If them as lies in feather beds while we kips in the mud. If them as makes their fortunes while we fights for 'em like hell. If them as slings their pot of ink just 'ad to sling their blood. By crust. I'm thinkin', there ud be another tale to tell. Shiverin' up to the Sandbags. With a hissicle, 'stead of a spine. Don't it seem funny the things you think? Air in the firin' line. We. What? Ziz. Zut. Lord. Ow the bullets whine. Hunkaren down when a star shell cracks in a sputter of light. You can jaw to your soul by the sandbags. Most any old time o' night. They talks o' England's glory and olden of our trade. Of empire and destiny until we're fair flim-flammed. But if it's for the likes o' that bloody war is made. Then what I say is, empire and destiny be damned. There's only one good cause, Bill, for poor blokes like us to fight. That's self-defense, for earth and and them that bears our name. And that's what I'm doin' by the sandbags tonight. But Fritz out there will tell you he's doin' of the same. Starin' over the sandbags. Sick of the old damn thing. Firin' to keep meself awake. Earin' the bullets sing. Hiss. Twang. Sing. Pang. Saucy the bullets sing. Dreamin' by the sandbags. Of a day when war will cease. When ANS and Fritz and Bill and me will clink our mugs in fraternity. And the brotherhood of labor will be the brotherhood of peace. On the wire. Oh God, take the sun from the sky. It's burning me, scorching me up. God, can't you hear my cry? Water. A poor, little cup. It's laughing, the cursed sun. See how it swells and swells. Fierce as 100 hells. God, will it never have done? It's searing the flesh on my bones. It's beating with hammers red. My eyeballs into my head. It's parching my very moans. See. It's the size of the sky. And the sky is a torrent of fire. Foaming on me as I lie. Here on the wire. Of the thousands that wheeze and hum. Heedlessly over my head. Why can't a bullet come? Pierce to my brain instead. Blacken forever my brain. Finish forever my pain. Here in the hellish glare. Why must I suffer so? Is it God doesn't care? Is it God doesn't know? Oh, to be killed outright. Clean in the clash of the fight. That is a golden death. That is a boon, but this. Drawing an anguished breath. Under a hot abyss. Under a stooping sky. Of seething, sulphurous fire. Scorching me up as I lie. Here on the wire. Hasten, O God, thy night. Hide from my eyes the sight. Of the body I stare and see. Shattered so hideously. I can't believe that it's mine. My body was white and sweet. Flawless and fair and fine. Shapely from head to feet. Oh no, I can never be. The thing of horror I see. Under the rifle fire. Trust on the wire. Of night and of death I dream. Night that will bring me peace. Coolness and starry gleam. Stillness and death's release. Ages and ages have passed. Lo! It is night at last. Night. But the guns roar out. Night. But the hosts attack. Red and yellow and black. Geysers of doom upspout. Silver and green and red. Star shells hover and spread. Yonder off to the right. Fiercely kindles the fight. Roaring near and more near. Thundering now in my ear. Close to me, close. Oh, hark. Someone moans in the dark. I hear, but I cannot see. I hear as the rest retire. Someone is caught like me. Caught on the wire. Again the shuddering dawn. Weird and wicked and wan. Again, and I've not yet gone. The man whom I heard is dead. Now I can understand. A bullet hole in his head. A pistol gripped in his hand. Well, he knew what to do. Yes, and now I know too. Hark the resentful guns. Oh, how thankful am I. To think my beloved ones will never know how I die. I've suffered more than my share. I'm shattered beyond repair. I've fought like a man the fight. And now I demand the right. God! How his fingers cling. To do without shame this thing. Good! There's a bullet still. Now I'm ready to fire. Blame me, God, if you will. Here on the wire, the wire. Bill's grave. I'm gathering the flowers by the wayside to lay on the grave of Bill. I've sneaked away from the billet, 'cause Jim wouldn't understand. Ed call me a silly fat EAD, and larf till it made him ill. To see me in the cornfield, with a big bouquet in me and. For Jim and me we are rough UNS, but Bill was the best. We listed and learned together to larf at the wust what comes. Then Bill copped a packet proper, and took his departure west. So sudden, ain't a minute to say goodbye to his chums. And they took me to where was planted, a sort of a measly mound. And, thinks I, 'ow Bill would be tickled, bein' so soft and queer. If I gathered a bunch them wildflowers. And sort of arranged them round. Like a kind of a bloody headpiece. And that's the reason I'm here. But not for the love of glory I wouldn't ave Jim to know. Ed call me a slobberin' sissy, and larf till his sides was sore. I'd ave larfed at myself too, it isn't so long ago. But somehow it changes a feller, even a taste war. It helps a man to be helpful, to know what his pals is worth. Them golden poppies is blazin' like lamps some fairy as lit. I'm fond them big white dices. Now Jim's the salt the earth. But has got a tongue what's a terror, and ain't sentimental a bit. I likes them blue chaps what's idin' so shy like among the corn. Won't Bill be glad? We was a loose thicker, thieves, us three. Why? Who's that singin' so hurty? Jim. And as sure as I'm born. Ease there in the giddy cornfields, gatherin' flowers like me. Quick! Drop me posy bindi me. I watches him for a while. Then I says, what, there, chummy. What price the little bouquet? And starts like a bloke what's guilty, and says with a sheepish smile. She's a bit of ORL right, the widder what keeps the estaminet. So goes away in a fury, and I wishes him best luck. And I picks up me bunch wildflowers, and the light's gettin' sorto dim. When I makes me way to the boneyard. And I stares like a man what's stuck. For what do I see? Bill's grave mound strewn with the flowers of Jim. Of course I won't never tell him, bein' a tactical lad. And Jim parleyvoos to the widder, tres beans, l'amour, compris? He'd die of shame if knew I knew, but say. Won't Bill be glad? When stares through the bleedin' clods and sees the blossoms of Jim and me. Jean Desprez. Ye whose hearts are resonant, and ring to war's romance. Hear ye the story of a boy, a peasant boy of France. A lad uncouth and warped with toil, yet who, when trial came, could feel within his soul upleap and soar the sacred flame. Could stand upright, and scorn and smite, as only heroes may. Hearken! Let me try to tell the tale of Jean Desprez. With fire and sword the Teuton horde was ravaging the land. And there was darkness and despair, grim death on every hand. Red fields of slaughter sloping down to ruin's black abyss. The wolves of war ran evil-fanged, and little did they miss. And on they came with fear and flame, to burn and loot and slay. Until they reached the red-roofed croft, the home of Jean Desprez. Rout out the village, one and all. The Uhlans captain said. Behold! Some hand has fired a shot. My trumpeter is dead. Now shall they Prussian vengeance know, now shall they rue the day. For by this sacred German slain, 10 of these dogs shall pay. They drove the cowering peasants forth, women and babes and men. And from the last, with many a jeer, the captain chose he 10. 10 simple peasants, bowed with toil. They stood, they knew not why. Against the grey wall of the church, hearing their children cry. Hearing their wives and mothers wail, with faces dazed they stood. A moment only. Ready. Fire. They weltered in their blood. But there was one who gazed unseen, who heard the frenzied cries. Who saw these men in sabots fall before their children's eyes. A Zo wounded in a ditch, and knowing death was nigh. He laughed with joy, ah! Here is where I settle ere I die. He clutched his rifle once again, and long he aimed and well. A shot. Beside his victims 10 the Yulin captain fell. They dragged the wounded Zo out, their rage was like a flame. With bayonets they pinned him down, until their major came. A blond, full-blooded man he was, and arrogant of eye. He stared to see with shattered skull his favorite captain lie. Nay, do not finish him so quick, this foreign swine, he cried. Go nail him to the big church door, he shall be crucified. With bayonets through hands and feet they nailed the Zo there. And there was anguish in his eyes, and horror in his stare. Water. A single drop, he moaned. But how they jeered at him. And mocked him with an empty cup, and saw his sight grow dim. And as in agony of death with blood his lips were wet. The Prussian major gaily laughed, and lit a cigarette. But mid the white-faced villagers who cowered in horror by, was one who saw the woeful sight, who heard the woeful cry. Water. One little drop, I beg. For love of Christ who died. It was the little Jean Desprez who turned and stole aside. It was the little barefoot boy who came with cup abrim. And walked up to the dying man, and gave the drink to him. A roar of rage. They seize the boy, they tear him fast away. The Prussian major swings around, no longer is he gay. His teeth are wolfishly agleam, his face all dark with spite. Go, shoot the brat, he snarls, that dare defy our Prussian might. Yet stay. I have another thought. I'll kindly be, and spare. Quick. Give the lad a rifle charged, and set him squarely there. And bid him shoot, and shoot to kill. Haste. Make him understand. The dying dog he fain would save shall perish by his hand. And all his kindred they shall see, and all shall curse his name. Who bought his life at such a cost, the price of death and shame. They brought the boy, wild-eyed with fear, they made him understand. They stood him by the dying man, a rifle in his hand. Make haste, said they, the time is short, and you must kill or die. The major puffed his cigarette, amusement in his eye. And then the dying Zo heard, and raised his weary head. Shoot, son, 'twill be the best for both, shoot swift and straight, he said. Fire first and last, and do not flinch, for lost to hope am I. And I will murmur, Vive la France. And bless you ere I die. Half blind with blows the boy stood there, he seemed to swoon and sway. Then in that moment woke the soul of little Jean Desprez. He saw the woods go sheening down, the larks were singing clear. And oh! The scents and sounds of spring, how sweet they were. How dear. He felt the scent of new-mown hay, a soft breeze fanned his brow. O God! The paths of peace and toil. How precious were they now. The summer days and summer ways, how bright with hope and bliss. The autumn such a dream of gold, and all must end in this. This shining rifle in his hand, that shambles all around. The Zo there with dying glare. The blood upon the ground. The brutal faces round him ringed, the evil eyes aflame. That Prussian bully standing by, as if he watched a game. Make haste and shoot, the major sneered, a minute more I give. A minute more to kill your friend, if you yourself would live. They only saw a barefoot boy, with blanched and twitching face. They did not see within his eyes the glory of his race. The glory of 1,000,000 men who for fair France have died. The splendor of self-sacrifice that will not be denied. Yet, he was but a peasant lad, and oh! But life was sweet. Your minute's nearly gone, my lad, he heard a voice repeat. Shoot! Shoot, the dying Zoe moaned, shoot! Shoot, the soldier said. Then Jean Desprez reached out and shot. The Prussian major dead. Going home. I'm goin' 'ome to Blighty, ain't I glad to 'ave the chance. I'm loaded up with fightin', and I've 'ad my fill o' France. I'm feelin' so excited like, I want to sing and dance. For I'm goin' 'ome to Blighty in the mornin'. I'm goin' 'ome to Blighty, can you wonder as I'm gay? I've got a wound I wouldn't sell for 1/2 a year o' pay. A harm that's mashed to jelly in the nicest sort o' way. For it takes me 'ome to Blighty in the mornin'. 'Ow everlastin' keen I was on gettin' to the front. I'd ginger for a dozen, and I 'elp to bear the brunt. But cheese and crust. I'm crazy, now I've done me little stunt. To sniff the air of Blighty in the mornin'. I've looked upon the wine that's white, and on the wine that's red. I've looked on cider flowin', till it fairly turned me ead. But oh, the finest scoff will be, when all is done and said. A pint o' base in Blighty in the mornin'. I'm goin' back to Blighty, which I left to strafe the un. I've fought in bloody battles, and I've 'ad a eap of fun. But now me flipper's busted, and I think me duty's done. And I'll kiss me gel in Blighty in the mornin'. Oh, there be furrin' lands to see, and some of 'em be fine. And there be furrin' gels to kiss, and scented furrin' wine. But there's no land like England, and no other gel like mine. Thank God for dear old Blighty in the mornin'. Cocotte. When a girl's 16, and as poor as she's pretty. And she hasn't a friend and she hasn't a home. Hi-ho. She's as safe in Paris city as a lamb night strayed where the wild wolves roam. And that was I. Oh, it's 7 years now. Some waters run down the Seine since then. And I've almost forgotten the pangs and the tears now. And I've almost taken the measure of men. Oh, I found me a lover who loved me only. Artist and poet, and almost a boy. And my heart was bruised, and my life was lonely. And him I adored with a wonderful joy. If he'd come to me with his pockets empty, how we'd have laughed in a garret gay. But he was rich, and in radiant plenty. We lived in a villa at Viroflay. Then came the war, and of bliss bereft me. Then came the call, and he went away. All that he had in the world he left me. With the rose-wreathed villa at Viroflay. Then came the news and the tragic story. My hero, my splendid lover was dead. Sword in hand on the field of glory. And he died with my name on his lips, they said. So here am I in my widow's mourning. The weeds I've really no right to wear. And women fix me with eyes of scorning. Call me Cocotte, but I do not care. And men look at me with eyes that borrow the brightness of love, but I turn away. Alone, say I will live with sorrow. In my little villa at Viroflay. And lo! I'm living alone with pity. And they say that pity from love's not far. Let me tell you all, last week in the city. I took the metro at Saint Lazare. And the carriage was crowded to overflowing. And when there entered at Chateaudun 2 wounded poilus with medals showing, I eagerly gave my seat to one. You should have seen them, they'd slipped death's clutches. But sadder a sight you will rarely find. One had a leg off and walked on crutches. The other, a bit of a boy, was blind. And they both sat down, and the lad was trying to grope his way as a blind man tries. And half of the women around were crying. And some of the men had tears in their eyes. How he stirred me, this blind boy, clinging. Just like a child to his crippled chum. But I did not cry. Oh no. A singing came to my heart for a year so dumb. Then I knew that at 23 there is wonderful work to be done. Comfort and kindness and joy in plenty. Peace and light and love to be won. Oh, thought I, could mine eyes be given to one who will live in the dark alway. To love and to serve, 'twould make life heaven. Here in my villa at Viroflay. So I left my poilus, and now you wonder why today I am so elate. Look! In the glory of sunshine yonder. They're bringing my blind boy in at the gate. My bayonet. When first I left Blighty they gave me a bayonet. And told me it 'ad to be smothered with gore. But blimey! I ain't been able to stain it. So far as I've gone with the vintage of war. For ain't it a fraud? When a Boche and yours truly gets into a mix in the grit and the grime. E jerks up is ends with a yell and ease duly. Part of me outfit every time. Left, right, Hans and Fritz. Goose step, keep up your mitts. Oh my, ain't it a shime? Part of me outfit every time. At toasting a biscuit me bayonet's a dandy. I've used it to open a bully beef can. For pokin' the fire it comes in wary Andy. For any old thing but for stickin' a man. 'Ow often I've said, I'm goin' to press you into a until you're seasoned for prime. And fiercely I rushes to do it, but bless you. Part of me outfit every time. Lor, yes, don't they look glad? Right oh. Owl kamerad. Oh my, always the same. Part of me outfit every time. I'm tin for someone to christen me bayonet. Some nice juicy chootin' what's fightin' in France. I'm fairly down-earted, how can you explain it? I keeps gettin' prisoners every chance. As soon as they seize me they UPS and surrenders. Extended like monkeys what's tryin' to climb. And I uses me bayonet to slit their suspenders. Part of me outfit every time. For UNS. Lor, what a bag. Fritz, sample a fag. Oh my, ain't it a jime? Part of me outfit every time. Carry on. It's easy to fight when everything's right. And you're mad with the thrill and the glory. It's easy to cheer when victory's near. And wallow in fields that are gory. It's a different song when everything's wrong. When you're feeling infernally mortal. When it's 10 against 1, and hope there is none. Buck up, little soldier, and chortle. Carry on. Carry on. There isn't much punch in your blow. You're glaring and staring and hitting out blind. You're muddy and bloody, but never you mind. Carry on. Carry on. You haven't the ghost of a show. It's looking like death, but while you've a breath. Carry on, my son. Carry on. And so in the strife of the battle of life. It's easy to fight when you're winning. It's easy to slave, and starve and be brave. When the dawn of success is beginning. But the man who can meet despair and defeat. With a cheer, there's the man of God's choosing. The man who can fight to heaven's own height. Is the man who can fight when he's losing. Carry on. Carry on. Things never were looming so black. But show that you haven't a cowardly streak. And though you're unlucky you never are weak. Carry on. Carry on. Brace up for another attack. It's looking like hell, but you never can tell. Carry on, old man. Carry on. There are some who drift out in the deserts of doubt. And some who in brutishness wallow. There are others, I know, who in piety go. Because of a heaven to follow. But to labor with zest, and to give of your best. For the sweetness and joy of the giving. To help folks along with a hand and a song. Why, there's the real sunshine of living. Carry on. Carry on. Fight the good fight and true. Believe in your mission, greet life with a cheer. There's big work to do, and that's why you are here. Carry on. Carry on. Let the world be the better for you. And at last when you die, let this be your cry. Carry on, my soul. Carry on. Over the parapet. All day long when the shells sail over. I stand at the sandbags and take my chance. But at night I'm a reckless rover. And over the parapet gleams romance. 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 How I've dreamed it, writing. Dreary old records of money in mart. Me with my head chuckful of fighting. And the blood of Vikings to thrill my heart. But little I thought that my time was coming. Sudden and splendid, supreme and soon. And here I am with the bullets humming. As I crawl and I curse the light of the moon. Out alone, for adventure thirsting. Out in mysterious no man's land. Prone with the dead when a star shell, bursting. Flares on the horrors on every hand. There are ruby stars and they drip and wiggle. And the grasses gleam in a light blood red. There are emerald stars, and their tails they wriggle. And ghastly they glare on the face of the dead. But the worst of all are the stars of whiteness. That spill in a pool of pearly flame. Pretty as gems in their silver brightness. And etching a man for a bullet's aim. Yet oh, it's great to be here with danger. Here in the weird, death-pregnant dark. In the devil's pasture a stealthy ranger. When the moon is decently hiding. Hark! What was that? Was it just the shiver of an eerie wind or a clammy hand? The rustle of grass, or the passing quiver of one of the ghosts of no man's land? It's only at night when the ghosts awaken and gibber and whisper horrible things. For to every foot of this God-forsaken zone of jeopard some horror clings. Ugh! What was that? It felt like a jelly. That flattish mound in the noisome grass. You three big rats running free of its belly. Out of my way and let me pass. But if there's horror, there's beauty, wonder. The trench lights gleam and the rockets play. That flood of magnificent orange yonder is a battery blazing miles away. With a rush and a singing a great shell passes. The rifles resentfully bicker and brawl. And here I crouch in the dew-drenched grasses. And look and listen and love it all. God! What a life! But I must make haste now. Before the shadow of night be spent. It's little the time there is to waste now. If I'd do the job for which I was sent. My bombs are right and my clippers ready. And I wriggle out to the chosen place. When I hear a rustle. Steady! Steady! Who am I staring slap in the face? There in the dark I can hear him breathing. A foot away, and as still as death. And my heart beats hard, and my brain is seething. And I know he's a Hun by the smell of his breath. Then, will you surrender? I whisper hoarsely. For it's death, swift death to utter a cry. English Schweinhund, he murmurs coarsely. Then we'll fight it out in the dark, say I. So we grip and we slip and we trip and wrestle. There in the gutter of no man's land. And I feel my nails in his windpipe nestle. And he tries to gouge, but I bite his hand. And he tries to squeal, but I squeeze him tighter. Now, I say, I can kill you fine. But tell me first, you Teutonic blighter. Have you any children? He answers, Neen. 9. Well, I cannot kill such a father. So I tie his hands and I leave him there. Do I finish my little job? Well, rather. And I get home safe with some light to spare. Hi-ho. By day it's just prosy duty. Doing the same old song and dance. But oh! With the night, joy, glory, beauty. Over the parapet, life, romance. The Ballad of Soulful Sam. You want me to tell you a story, a yarn of the firin' line. Of our thin red khaki arrows, out there where the bullets whine. Out there where the bombs are bustin'. And the cannons like doors slam. Just order another drink, boys, and I'll tell you of Soulful Sam. Oh, Sam, he was never hilarious, though I've 'ad some mates as was wuss. He adn't CB. On his program, he never was known to cuss. For a card or a skirt or a beer mug he adn't a friendly word. But when it came down to scriptures, say. Wasn't he just a bird? He always 'ad tracts in his pocket, the which he would haste to present. And though the fellers would use them in ways that they never was meant. I used to read religious. And frequent I've been impressed. By some of them bundles of 'oly dope he carried around in his vest. For ow I shudder at the 'orror the word conveys. Ave been, let me whisper it zeally, a gambler alf of me days. A gambler, you gear, a gambler. It makes me wishful to weep. And yet it's true, my brethren. I'd rather gamble than sleep. I've gambled the whole world over, from Monte Carlo to Maine. From Dawson City to Dover, from San Francisco to Spain. Cards. They have been me ruin. They've taken me pride and me pelf. And when I'd no one to play with, why, I'd go and I'd play by myself. And Sam would sit and watch me, as I shuffled a greasy deck. And he'd say, you're bound to perdition. And I'd answer, get off me neck. And that's 'ow we came to get friendly, though built on a different plan. Me what's a desprite gambler, im sich a good young man. But on to me tale. Just imagine. Darkness. The battlefront. The furious UNS attackin'. Us ones bearin' the brunt. Me crouchin' be'ind a sandbag, tryin' 'ard to keep calm. When I hears someone singin' a YMN tune, behold. It is Soulful Sam. Yes. Right in the crash of the combat, in the fury of flash and flame. Was shootin' and singin' serenely as if enjoyed the same. And there in the heat of the battle, as the hordes of demons attacked. He dipped down into his tunic, and handed me out a tract. Then a starshell flared, and I read it, oh, flee from the wrath to come. Nice cheerful subject, I tell yer, when you're hearin' the bullets, And before I 'ad time to thank 'im, just one of them bits of lead come slingin' along in a Yuri, and it's my partner. Dead? No, siree. Not by a long sight. For it plugged 'im hard on the chest. Just where tracks for a army corps stowed away in his vest. On its mission of death that bullet bustled along, and it caved. A hole in them tracks to his hide, boys, but the life o' me pal was saved. And there as showed me in triumph, and horror was chokin' me breath. On came another bullet on its horrible mission of death. On through the night it cavorted, seekin' its haven of rest. And it zipped through a crack in the sandbags. And it walloped me bang on the breast. Was I killed, do you ask? Oh no, boys. Why am I sittin' there? Gazin' with mournful vision at a mug long empty of beer. With a throat as dry as thankee. I don't much mind if I do. Beer with a dash of Hollands, that's my particular brew. Yes, that was a terrible moment. It hammered me hard o'er the hurt. It bowled me down like a 9-pin, and I looked for the gore to start. And I saw in the flash of a moment, in that thunder of hate and strife. Me wretched past like a pitcher, the sins of a gambler's life. For I had no tracks to save me, to thwart that mad missile's doom. I add no pious pamphlets to help me to cheat the tomb. I add no holy leaflets to baffle a bullet's aim. I'd only a deck of cards, boys, but it seemed to do just the same. Only a Boche. We brought him in from between the lines, we'd better have let him lie. For what's the use of risking one's skin for a tyke that's going to die? What's the use of tearing him loose under a grueling fire? When he's shot in the head, and worse than dead. And all messed up on the wire. However, I say, we brought him in. Diable. The mud was bad. The trench was crooked and greasy and high, and oh, what a time we had. And often we slipped, and often we tripped, but never he made a moan. And how we were wet with blood and with sweat. But we carried him in like our own. Now there he lies in the dugout dim, awaiting the ambulance. And the doctor shrugs his shoulders at him. And remarks, he hasn't a chance. And we squat and smoke at our game of bridge. On the glistening, straw-packed floor. And above our oaths we can hear his breath deep drawn in a kind of snore. For the dressing station is long and low, and the candles gutter dim. And the mean light falls on the cold clay walls. And our faces bristly and grim. And we flap our cards on the lousy straw, and we laugh and jibe as we play. And you'd never know that the cursed foe was less than a mile away. As we con our cards in the rancid gloom, oppressed by that snoring breath. You'd never dream that our broad roof beam was swept by the broom of death. Hi-ho. My turn for the dummy hand, I rise and I stretch a bit. The fetid air is making me yawn, and my cigarette's unlit. So I go to the nearest candle flame, and the man we brought is there. And his face is white in the shabby light, and I stand at his feet and stare. Stand for a while, and quietly stare, for strange though it seems to be. The dying Boche on the stretcher there has a queer resemblance to me. It gives one a kind of a turn, you know, to come on a thing like that. It's just as if I were lying there, with a turban of blood for a hat. Lying there in a coat grey-green instead of a coat grey-blue. With one of my eyes all shot away, and my brain half tumbling through. Lying there with a chest that heaves like a bellows up and down. And a cheek as white as snow on a grave, and lips that are coffee brown. And confound him, too. He wears, like me, on his finger a wedding ring. And around his neck, as around my own, by a greasy bit of string. A locket hangs with a woman's face, and I turn it about to see. Just as I thought. On the other side the faces of children three. Clustered together cherub-like, three little laughing girls. With the usual tiny rosebud mouths and the usual silken curls. Zut! I say. He has beaten me. For me, I have only two. And I push the locket beneath his shirt, feeling a little blue. Oh, it isn't cheerful to see a man, the marvelous work of God. Crushed in the mutilation mill, crushed to a smeary clod. Oh, it isn't cheerful to hear him moan, but it isn't that I mind. It isn't the anguish that goes with him, it's the anguish he leaves behind. For his going opens a tragic door that gives on a world of pain. And the death he dies, those who live and love, will die again and again. So here I am at my cards once more, but it's kind of spoiling my play. Thinking of those three brats of his so many a mile away. War is war, and he's only a Boche, and we all of us take our chance. But all the same I'll be mighty glad when I'm hearing the ambulance. One foe the less, but all the same I'm heartily glad I'm not the man who gave him his broken head, the sniper who fired the shot. No trumps you make it, I think you said. You'll pardon me if I err. For a moment I thought of other things. Mon Dieu. Quelle vache de guerre. Pilgrims. For oh, when the war will be over. We'll go and we'll look for our dead. We'll go when the bee's on the clover. And the plume of the poppy is red. We'll go when the year's at its gayest. When meadows are laughing with flowers. And there where the crosses are greyest. We'll seek for the cross that is ours. For they cry to us, friends, we are lonely. A weary the night and the day. But come in the blossom time only. Come when our graves will be gay. When daffodils all are a-blowing. And larks are a-thrilling the skies. Oh, come with the hearts of you glowing. And the joy of the spring in your eyes. But never, oh, never come sighing. For ours was the splendid release. And oh, but 'twas joy in the dying. To know we were winning you peace. So come when the valleys are sheening. And fledged with the promise of grain. And here where our graves will be greening. Just smile and be happy again. And so, when the war will be over. We'll seek for the wonderful one. And maiden will look for her lover. And mother will look for her son. And there will be end to our grieving. And gladness will gleam over loss. As, glory beyond all believing. We point to a name on a cross. My prisoner. We was in a crump-hole, 'im and me. Fightin' with our bayonets was we. Fightin' hard as hell we was. Fightin' fierce as fire because. It was 'im or me as must be downed. E was twice as big as me. I was 'arf the weight of E. We was like a terrier and a hound. Struth. But E was sich a 'andsome bloke. Me, I'm 'andsome as a chunk o' coke. Did I give it 'im? Not 'arf. Why, it fairly made me laugh. 'Cause, 'is bloomin' bellows wasn't sound. Couldn't fight for monkey nuts. Soon I gets 'im in the guts. There E lies a-floppin' on the ground. In I goes to finish up the job. Quick E throws, 'is 'ands above 'is knob. Speakin' English good as me. 'Tain't no use to kill, says E. Can't you take me prisoner instead? Why, I'd like to, sir, says I. But, you knows the reason why. If we pokes our noses out we're dead. Sorry, sir. Then on the other hand. As a gent like you must understand. If I 'olds you longer ere. With your pals so very near. It's me ol ave a free trip to Berlin. If I lets you go away. Why, you'll fight another day. See the sight o' ocean I am in. Anyway I'll tell you what I'll do. Be in, kind and seein' as it's you. Knowin' 'ow it's cold, the feel. Of a alpha yard o' steel. I'll let your pave a rifle ball instead. Now, just think yourself in luck. Ol' man. You keep 'em stuck. Them saucy dooks o' yours, above your EAD. Ow, is mitts shot up it made me smile. Ow E seemed to ponder for a while. Then E says, it seems a shime. Me, a man what's known ter fime. Give me blocks of stone, I'll give your gods. Whereas, pardon me, I'm sure. You, my friend, are still obscure. In war, says I, that makes no blurry odds. Then says E, I've painted pictures too. Oh, dear God. The work I plan to do. And to think this is the end. Says I, my hardest friend. Don't you give yourself no friskin' airs. Pictures, statues, is that why? You should be let off to die. That the best ye done? Just say your prayers. Once again E seems to think a while. Then E smiles a wary, oddie smile. Why, no, sir, it's not the best. There's a locket next me breast. Picture of a gel, O's eyes are blue. That's the best I've done, says E. That's me darter, aged 3. Blimey, says I, I've a nipper, too. Straight I chucks my rifle to one side. Shows 'im with a lovin' father's pride. Me own little Mary Jane. Proud E shows me is Elaine. And we talks as friendly as can be. Then I helps 'im on 'is way. 'Opes 'e's safe at 'ome today. Wonders, O.W. Wood, E. Avenue treated me. Tricolor. Poppies, you try to tell me, glowing there in the wheat. Poppies. Ah no. You mock me, it's blood, I tell you, it's blood. It's gleaming wet in the grasses, it's glistening warm in the wheat. It dabbles the ferns and the clover, it brims in an angry flood. It leaps to the startled heavens, it smothers the sun, it cries. With scarlet voices of triumph from blossom and bough and blade. See the bright horror of it. It's roaring out of the skies. And the whole red world is a welter. Oh God! I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Cornflowers, you say, just cornflowers, gemming the golden grain. Ah no. You can't deceive me. Can't I believe my eyes? Look. It's the dead, my comrades, stark on the dreadful plain. All in their dark blue blouses, staring up at the skies. Comrades of canteen laughter, dumb in the yellow wheat. See how they sprawl and huddle. See how their brows are white. Goaded on to the shambles, they're in death and defeat. Father of pity, hide them. Hasten, O God, thy night. Lilies, the light is waning, only lilies you say. Nestling and softly shining there where the speargrass waves. No, my friend, I know better, brighter I see than day. It's the poor little wooden crosses over their quiet graves. Oh, how they're gleaming, gleaming. See. Each cross has a crown. Yes, it's true I am dying, little will be the loss. Darkness, but look. In heaven a light, and it's shining down. God's accolade. Lift me up, friends. I'm going to win, my cross. A pot of tea. You make it in your mess tin by the brazier's rosy gleam. You watch it cloud, then settle amber clear. You lift it with your bayonet, and you sniff the fragrant steam. The very breath of it is ripe with cheer. You're awful cold and dirty, and a cursin' of your lot. You scoff the blushin' alf of it, so rich and rippin' O.T. It bucks you up like anything, just seems to touch the spot. God bless the man that first discovered tea. Since I came out to fight in France, which ain't the other day. I think I've drunk enough to float a barge. All kinds of fancy foreign dope, from café indulé to rum they serves you out before a charge. In back rooms of estaminets I've gurgled pints of cham. I've swillied down mugs of cider till I've felt a bloomin' dam. But, struth! They all ain't in it with the vintage of a psalm. God bless the man that first invented tea. I think them lazy lumps oh gods what kips on asphodel. Swigs nectar that's a flavor of oolong. I only wish them sons oh guns a grillin' down in hell. Could ave their daily ration of such ong. Hurrah! I'm off to battle, which is hell and even too. And if I don't give some poor bloke a sexton's job to do. Tonight, by Fritz's campfire, won't I ave a gorgeous brew. For fightin' mustn't interfere with tea. Tonight we'll all be tellin' of the Boches that we slew. As we drink the giddy victory in tea. The revelation. The same old sprint in the morning, boys, to the same old din and smut. Chained all day to the same old desk, down in the same old rut. Posting the same old greasy books, catching the same old train. Oh, how will I manage to stick it all, if I ever get back again? We've bidden goodbye to life in a cage, we're finished with pushing a pen. They're pumping us full of bellicose rage, they're showing us how to be men. We're only beginning to find ourselves, we're wonders of brawn and thew. But when we go back to our sissy jobs, oh, what are we going to do? For shoulders curved with the counter stoop will be carried erect and square. And faces white from the office light will be bronzed by the open air. And we'll walk with the stride of a newborn pride. With a newfound joy in our eyes. Scornful men who have diced with death under the naked skies. And when we get back to the dreary grind, and the bald-headed bosses call. Don't you think that the dingy window blind, and the dingier office wall, will suddenly melt to a vision of space, a violent, flame-scarred night? Then, oh, the joy of the danger thrill, and oh, the roar of the fight. Don't you think as we peddle a card of pins the counter will fade away? And again we'll be seeing the sandbag rims, and the barbed wire's misty gray? As a flat voice asks for a pound of tea, don't you fancy we'll hear instead the night wind moan and the soothing drone of the packet that's overhead? Don't you guess that the things we're seeing now will haunt us through all the years? Heaven and hell rolled into one, glory in blood and tears. Life's pattern picked with a scarlet thread, where once we wove with a gray. To remind us all how we played our part in the shock of an epic day. Oh, we're booked for the great adventure now. We're pledged to the real romance. We'll find ourselves or we'll lose ourselves somewhere in giddy old France. We'll know the zest of the fighter's life, the best that we have we'll give. We'll hunger and thirst, we'll die but first. We'll live, by the gods, we'll live. We'll breathe free air and we'll bivouac under the starry sky. We'll march with men and we'll fight with men. And we'll see men laugh and die. We'll know such joy as we never dreamed, we'll fathom the deeps of pain. But the hardest bit of it all will be, when we come back home again. For some of us smirk in a chiffon shop. And some of us teach in a school. Some of us help with the seat of our pants to polish an office stool. The merits of somebody's soap or jam some of us seek to explain. But all of us wonder what we'll do when we have to go back again. Grand-père. And so when he reached my bed, the general made a stand. My brave young fellow, he said. I would shake your hand. So I lifted my arm, the right. With never a hand at all. Only a stump, a sight. Fit to appall. Well, well. Now that's too bad. That's sorrowful luck, he said. But there. You give me, my lad. The left instead. So from under the blanket's rim, I raised and showed him the other. A snag as ugly and grim as its ugly brother. He looked at each jagged wrist. He looked, but he did not speak. And then he bent down and kissed me on either cheek. You wonder now I don't mind. I hadn't a hand to offer. They tell me, you know I'm blind. 'Twas Grand-père Joffre. Son. He hurried away, young heart of joy, under our Devon sky. And I watched him go, my beautiful boy, and a weary woman was I. For my hair is grey, and his was gold, he'd the best of his life to live. And I'd loved him so, and I'm old, and he's all I had to give. Ah yes, he was proud and swift and gay, but oh how my eyes were dim. With the sun in his heart he went away, but he took the sun with him. For look, how the leaves are falling now. And the winter won't be long. Oh boy, my boy with the sunny brow, and the lips of love and of song. How we used to sit at the day's sweet end, we two by the firelight's gleam. And we'd drift to the valley of let's pretend. On the beautiful river of dream. Oh dear little heart. All wealth untold would I gladly pay. Could I just for a moment closely hold that golden head to my grey. For I gaze in the fire, and I'm seeing there a child, and he waves to me. And I run and I hold him up in the air, and he laughs and shouts with glee. A little bundle of love and mirth, crying, come, mumsy dear. Ah me! If he called from the ends of the earth, I know that my heart would hear. Yet the thought comes thrilling through all my pain. How worthier could he die? Yeah, a loss like that is a glorious gain, and pitiful proud am I. For peace must be bought with blood and tears. And the boys of our hearts must pay. And so in our joy of the after years, let us bless them every day. And though I know there's a hasty grave with a poor little cross at its head, and the gold of his youth he so gladly gave, yet to me he'll never be dead. And the sun in my Devon lane will be gay, and my boy will be with me still. So I'm finding the heart to smile and say, O God, if it be thy will. The Black Dudeen. Humping it here in the dugout. Sucking me Black Dudeen. I'd like to say in a general way. There's nothing like nicotine. There's nothing like nicotine, me boys. Be it pipes or snipes or cigars. So be sure that a bloke has plenty to smoke, if you wants him to fight your wars. When I've eat my fill and my belt is snug, I begin to think of my Boche plug. I whittle a fill in my horny palm, and the bowl of me old clay pipe I cram. I trim the edges, I tamp it down. I nurse a light with an anxious frown. I begin to draw, and my cheeks tuck in. And all my face is a blissful grin. And up in a cloud the good smoke goes. And the good pipe glimmers and fades and glows. In its throat it chuckles a cheery song. For I likes it hot and I likes it strong. Oh, it's good as grub when you're feeling hollow. But the best of a meal's the smoke to follow. There was Mickey and me on a night patrol, having to hide in a fizz-bang hole. And sure I thought I was worse than dead. Why, them crumps hustlin' over me head. Sure I thought 'twas the dirty spot. Hammer and tongs till the air was hot. And mind you, water up to your knees. And cold. A monkey of brass would freeze. And if we ventured our noses out, a typewriter clattered its pills about the field of glory. Well, I don't think I'd sooner be safe and snug in clink. Then Mickey, he goes and he cops one bad. He always was having ill luck, poor lad. Says he, old chummy, I'm booked right through. Death and me as a rendezvous. But aven't you got a pinch of shag? I'd sell me Parisian soul for a fag. And there he shivered and cussed his luck. So I gave him me old black pipe to suck. And he heaves a sigh, and he takes to it. Like a babby takes to his mammy's tit. Like an infant takes to his mother's breast. Poor little Mickey. He went to rest. But the dawn was near, though the night was black. So I left him there and I started back. And I laughed as the silly old bullets came. For the bullet ain't made what's got me name. Yet some of 'em buzzed on healthily near. And one little blighter just chipped me ear. But there. I got to the trench all right. When sudden I jumped why, a start, oh, fright. And a word that doesn't look well in type. I'd clean forgotten me old clay pipe. So I had to do it all over again. Crawling out on that filthy plain. Through shells and bombs and bullets and all. Only this time, I do not crawl. I run like a man what's missing a train. Or a tomcat caught in a plump of rain. I hear the spit of a quick-fire gun tickle my heels, but I run. Through crash and crackle, and flicker and flame. Oh, the packet ain't issued what's got me name. I run like a man that's no ider of hunting around for a souvenir. I run bang into a German chap. And he stares like an owl, so I bash his map. And just to show him that I'm his boss, I gives him a kick on the parados. And I marches him back with me all serene. With, tucked in me gub, me old Dudeen. Sitting here in the trenches. Me heart's a splittin' with spleen. For a parcel o' lead comes missing me head. But it smashes me old Dudeen. God blast that red-headed sniper. I'll give him something to snipe. Before the war's through. Just see how I do. That blighter that smashed me pipe. The Little Piou-piou. The French Tommy. Oh, some of us lolled in the chateau. And some of us slinked in the slum. But now we are here with a song and a cheer. To serve at the sign of the drum. They put us in trousers of scarlet. In big sloppy ulsters of blue. In boots that are flat, a box of a hat. And they call us the Little Piou-piou. Piou-piou. The laughing and quaffing Piou-piou. The swinging and singing Piou-piou. And so with a rattle we march to the battle. The weary but cheery Piou-piou. Encore un petit verre de vin. Pour nous mettre en route. Encore un petit verre de vin. Pour nous mettre en train. They drive us head on for the slaughter. We haven't got much of a chance. The issue looks bad, but we're awfully glad. To battle and die for La France. For some must be killed, that is certain. There's only one's duty to do. So we leap to the fray in the glorious way. They expect of the Little Piou-piou. En avant. The way of the gallant Piou-piou. The dashing and smashing Piou-piou. The way grim and gory that leads us to glory. Is the way of the Little Piou-piou. Allons, enfants de la patrie. Le jour de gloire est arrivé. Today you would scarce recognize us. Such veterans war-wise are we. So grimy and hard, so calloused and scarred. So, crummy, yet gay as can be. We've finished with trousers of scarlet. They're giving us breeches of blue. With a helmet instead of a cap on our head. Yet still we're the Little Piou-piou. Nous les orans. The jesting, unresting Piou-piou. The cheering, unfearing Piou-piou. The keep your head level and fight like the devil. The dying, defying Piou-piou. À la baïonnette. Jusqu'à la mort. Sonnes la charge, Clarens. Bill the bomber. The poppies gleamed like bloody pools through cotton-woolly mist. The captain kept a lookin' at the watch upon his wrist. And there we smoked and squatted, as we watched the shrapnel flame. 'Twas wonderful, I'm tellin' you, how fast them bullets came. 'Twas weary work the waiting, though, I tried to sleep a wink. For waitin' means a thinkin', and it doesn't do to think. So I closed my eyes a little, and I had a nice-ish dream. Of a standin' by a dresser with a dish of Devon cream. But I hadn't time to sample it, for sudden like I woke. Come on, me lads, the captain says, and I climbed out through the smoke. We spread out in the open, it was like a bath of lead. But the boys they cheered and hollered fit to raise the bloody dead. Till a beastly bullet copped them, then they lay without a sound. And it's odd, we didn't seem to heed them corpses on the ground. And I kept on thinkin', as the bullets faster flew. How they picks the wery best men, and they lets the rotters through. So indiscriminatin' like, they spares a man of sin. And a rare lad what's a husband and a father gets done in. And while havin' these reflections and advancin' on the run, a bullet biffs me shoulder, and says I, that's number one. Well, it downed me for a jiffy, but I didn't lose me calm. For I knew that I was needed, I'm a bomber, so I am. I'd lost me cap and rifle, but I carried on, because I 'ad me bombs and knew that they was needed, so they was. We didn't ave no singin' now, nor many men to cheer. Maybe the shrapnel drowned em, crashin' out so wery near. And the Maxims got us sideways, and the bullets faster flew. And I copped one on me flipper, and says I, that's number two. I was pleased it was the left one, for I 'ad me bombs, ye see. And 'twas 'ard if they'd be wasted like, and all along oh me. And I'd lost me 'at and rifle, but I told you that before. So I packed me MIT inside me coat and carried on once more. But the rumpus it was wicked, and the men were scarcer yet. And I felt me ginger goin', but me jaws I kindo set. And we passed the Boche first trenches, which was eepin' I with dead. And we started for their second, which was 50 feet ahead. When something like a hammer smashed me savage on the knee. And down I came all muck and blood, says I, that's number three. So there I lay all helpless like, and bloody sick at that. And worryin' like anythink, because I'd lost me at. And thinkin' of me missis, and the partin' words she said. If you gets killed, right quick, ol' man, and tell me as you're dead. And lookin' at me bunch o' bombs, that was the ardiest blow. To think I'd never ave the chance to URL them at the foe. And there was all our boys in front, fightin' there like mad. And me as could ave elped 'em with the lovely bombs I 'ad. And so I cussed and cussed, and then I struggled back again. Into that bit of battered trench, packed solid with its slain. Now as I lay lyin' there'n blastin' of me lot. And wishin' I could just dispose of all them bombs I'd got. I sees within the doorway of a shy, retirin' dugout. 6 Boches all grinnin', and their captain stuck his mug out. And they 'ad a nice machine gun, and I twigged what they was at. And they fixed it on a tripod, and I watched 'em like a cat. And they got it in position, and they seemed so very glad. Like they'd got us in a death trap, which, condemn their souls. They 'ad. For there our boys was fightin' 50 yards in front, and this lousy bunch of Boches they 'ad got us in the rear. Oh, it set me blood boilin' and I quite forgot me pain. So I started crawlin' over all the mounds of slain. And them barstards was so busy like they 'ad no eyes for me. And me bleedin' leg was draggin', but me right arm it was free. And now they ave it all in shape, and swingin', sweet and clear. And now they're all excited like, but, I am drawin' near. And now they ave it loaded up, and now they're talkin' aim. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Oh here, says I, is where I join the game. And my right arm it goes swingin', and a bomb it goes slingin'. And that typewriter goes wingin', in a thunderbolt of flame. Then these Boches, what was left of 'em, they tumbled down their ole. And up I climbed a mound of dead, and down on them I stole. And oh that blessed moment when I heard their frightened yell. And I laughed down in that dugout, ere I bombed their souls to hell. And now I'm in the hospital, surprised that I'm alive. We started out 1,000 men, we came back 35. And I'm minus of a trotter, but I'm most amazin' gay. For me bombs they wasn't wasted, though, you might say, thrown away. The whistle of Sandy McGraw. You may talk your lutes and your dulcimers fine. Your harps and your tabors and cymbals and but here in the trenches just gie me for mine. The wee penny whistle Sandy McGraw. Oh, it's, Sandy, ma lad, will you lilt us a tune? And Sandy is willin' and trillin' like mad. Sae silvery sweet that we throng around. And some it's gay, but the maist it's sad. Just the wee simple airs that sink into your hurt. And grup ye why love and why longin for hame. And ye glower like an owl till you're feelin' the sturt. A tear, and you blink why a feelin' shame. For his songs the heather, and here in the dirt. You listen and dream a land that's sae braw. And he makes you forgetteth the harm and the hurt. For he pipes like a laverock, does Sandy McGraw. At Ypres I mind me when rank upon rank. We rose from the trenches and swept like the gale. Till the rapid-fire guns got us fell on the flank. And the murderin' bullets came swishin' like hail. Till that were left us faltered and broke. Till it seemed for a moment a panicky rout. When shrill through the fume and the flash and the smoke, the wee valiant voice a whistle piped out. The Campbells are comin', then into the fray. We bounded bayonets reekin' and raw. And we fair revelled in glory that day. Just thanks to the whistle Sandy McGraw. At loose, it wis after a sconersome fecht. On the field the slain I wis crawlin' boot. And the rockets were burnin' red holes in the nicked. And the guns they were viciously thunderin' OOT. When sudden I heard a bit sound like a sigh. And there in a crump hole a kiltie I saw. Whit ails ye, ma lad? Are ye wounded, says I. I've lost ma wee wussel, says Sandy McGraw. 'Twas OOT by yon bing where we pressed the attack. It drapped frae ma pooch, and between noo and dawn. There isna much time so I'm just crawlin' back. Yeary daft, man. I tell't him, but Sandy was gone. Weel, I waited a wee, then I crawled teemisel. And the big stuff was gorin' and roarin' around. And I seemed to be under the oxter hell. And creation was crackin' to bits by the sound. And I says in ma mind, gang ye back, ye auld fuel. When I thrilled to a note that was saucy and SMA. And there in a crater, collected and cool. Why, his wee penny whistle was Sandy McGraw. Aye, there he was playin' as gleg as could be. And listenin' hard wis a spectacled Boche. Then Sandy turned roon and he nodded to me. And he says, dinna blab on me, Sergeant McTosh. The old chap is deein'. He likes me to play. It's makin' him happy. Just see his een shine. And thrillin' and sweet in the hurt the fray. Wee Sandy was playin' the Watch on the Rhine. The last scene 'twas the day that we took. That bit black ruin they see Labicel. It seemed the hale hillside just shivered and shook. And the red skies were roarin' and spewin' OOT shell. And the sergeants were cursin' to keep us in hand. And hard on the leash we were strainin' like dugs. When upward we shot at the word command. And the bullets were dingin' their songs in our lugs. And onward we swept a yell and a cheer. And with destruction, confusion and din. And we knew that the trench the Boches was near. And it seemed just the safest bit hole to be in. So we tumbled doon, and the Boches were there. And they held up their hands, and they yelled, Camarade. And I murched FY10, their palms in the air. And I was proud like, and I was glad. And I thought, if ma lassie could see me just then. When sudden I sobered at somethin' I saw. And I stopped and I stared, and I halted ma men. For there on a stretcher was Sandy McGraw. Weel, he looks in ma face, just as game as ye please. Ye ken who I hate to be workin', says he. But no I can play in the street for bobbies. Why, baith ma legs taken aff at the knee. And though I could see he was racket pain. He reached for his whistle and stirred it to play. And quaverin' sweet whist the pensive refrain. The floors the forest are a weed away. Then sudden he stopped pit, man, wis it no grand. Who we took of them trenches. He shock it his hide. I'll, no, play, nay, mare, feebly doon frae his hand. Slipped the wee penny whistle and, Sandy wis did. And so you may talk your Steinways and Strats. Your wonderful organs and brasses sae braw. But OOT in the trenches just GIE me, ma lads. Yon wee penny whistle Sandy McGraw. The stretcher bearer. My stretcher is one scarlet stain. And as I tries to scrape it clean. I tell you what, I'm sick with pain. For all I've heard, for all I've seen. Around me is the hellish night. And as the war's red rim I trace. I wonder if in even's height. Our God don't turn away his face. I don't care whose the crime may be. I holds no brief for kin or clan. I, women no ate, I only see. As man destroys his brother man. I waves no flag, I only know. As, ere beside the dead I wait. A million earths is weighed with woe. A million homes is desolate. In drip-pin darkness, far and near. All night I've sought them woeful ones. Dawn shudders up and still I hear. The crimson chorus of the guns. Look! Like a ball of blood the sun. Ongs o'er the scene of wrath and wrong. Quick! Stretcher-bearers on the run. O Prince of Peace! How long, how long? Wounded. Is it not strange? A year ago today. With scarce a thought beyond the humdrum round. I did my decent job and earned my pay. Was averagely happy, I'll be bound. In my little groove I was content. Seeing my life run smoothly to the end. With prosy days in stolid labor spent. And jolly nights, a pipe, a glass, a friend. In God's good time a hearth fire's cozy gleam. A wife and kids, and all a fellow needs. When presto! Like a bubble goes my dream. I leap upon the stage of splendid deeds. I yell with rage. I wallow deep in gore. That was clerk in a drysalter's store. Stranger than any book I've ever read. Here on the reeking battlefield I lie. Under the stars, propped up with smeary dead. Like two, if no one takes me in, to die. Hit on the arms, legs, liver, lungs and gall. Damn glad there's nothing more of me to hit. But calm, and feeling never pain at all. And full of wonder at the turn of it. 4 of the dead around me 3 are mine. 3 foemen vanquished in the whirl of fight. So if I die I have no right to whine. I feel I've done my little bit all right. I don't know how, but there the beggars are. As dead as herrings pickled in a jar. And here am I, worse wounded than I thought. For in the fight a bullet bee-like stings. You never heed. The air is metal hot. And all alive with little flicking wings. But on you charge. You see the fellows fall. Your pal was by your side, fair fighting mad. You turn to him, and lo! No pal at all. You wonder vaguely if he's copped it bad. But on you charge. The heavens vomit death. And vicious death is besoming the ground. You're blind with sweat, you're dazed, and out of breath. And though you yell, you cannot hear a sound. But on you charge. Oh, war's a rousing game. Around you smoky clouds like ogres tower. The earth is rowelled deep with spurs of flame. And on your helmet stones and ashes shower. But on you charge. It's odd. You have no fear. Machine gun bullets whip and lash your path. Red, yellow, black the smoky giants rear. The shrapnel rips, the heavens roar in wrath. But on you charge. Barbed wire all trampled down. The ground all gored and rent as by a blast. Grim heaps of grey where once were heaps of brown. A ragged ditch, the Hun first line at last. All smashed to hell. Their second right ahead. So on you charge. There's nothing else to do. More reeking holes, blood, barbed wire, gruesome dead. Your puttee straps undone, that worries you. You glare around. You think you're all alone. But no, your chums come surging left and right. The nearest chap flops down without a groan. His face still snarling with the rage of fight. Ha! Here's the second trench, just like the first. Only a little more so, more laid out. More pounded, flame corroded, death accursed. A pretty piece of work, beyond a doubt. Now for the third, and there your job is done. So on you charge. You never stop to think. Your cursed puttees trailing as you run. You feel you'd sell your soul to have a drink. The acrid air is full of cracking whips. You wonder how it is you're going still. You foam with rage. Oh, God! To be at grips. With someone you can rush and crush and kill. Your sleeve is dripping blood, you're seeing red. You're battle mad, your turn is coming now. See! There's the jagged barbed wire straight ahead. And there's the trench, you'll get there anyhow. Your puttee catches on a strand of wire. And down you go. Perhaps it saves your life. For over sandbag rims you see fire. Crop-headed chaps, their eyes ablaze with strife. You crawl, you cower, then once again you plunge. With all your comrades roaring at your heels. Have at 'em, lads. You stab, you jab, you lunge. A blaze of glory, then the red world reels. A crash of triumph, then you're faint a bit. That cursed putty. Now to fasten it. Well, that's the charge. And now I'm here alone. I've built a little wall of Hun on Hun. To shield me from the leaden bees that drone. It saves me worry, and it hurts none. The only thing I'm wondering is when some stretchermen will stroll along my way. It isn't much that's left of me, but then where life is, hope is, so at least they say. Well, if I'm spared I'll be the happy lad. I tell you I won't envy any king. I've stood the racket, and I'm proud and glad. I've had my crowning hour. Oh, war's the thing. It gives us common, working chaps our chance. A taste of glory, chivalry, romance. War, they say, is hell, it's heaven, too. It lets a man discover what he's worth. It takes his measure, shows what he can do. Gives him a joy like nothing else on earth. It fans in him a flame that otherwise would flicker out, these drab, discordant days. It teaches him in pain and sacrifice faith, fortitude, grim courage past all praise. Yes, war is good. So here beside my slain, a happy wreck I wait amid the din. For even if I perish mine's the gain. Hi, there, you fellows. Won't you take me in? Give me a fag to smoke upon the way. We've taken La Boiselle. The hell, you say? Well, that would make a corpse sit up and grin. Lead on. I'll live to fight another day. Faith. Since all that is was ever bound to be. Since grim, eternal laws are being bind. And both the riddle and the answer find. And both the carnage and the calm decree. Since plain within the book of destiny is written all the journey of mankind. Inexorably to the end, since blind and mortal puppets playing parts are we. Then let's have faith, good cometh out of ill. The power that shaped the strife shall end the strife. Then let's bow down before the unknown will. Fight on, believing all is well with life. Seeing within the worst of war's red rage the gleam, the glory of the golden age. The coward. Ave you seen Bill's mug in the noos today? Ease gine the Victoria Cross, they say. Little Bill what would grizzle and run away. If you him a swipe on the jaw. Ease slaughtered the Kaiser's men in tons. Ease captured one of their quick-fire guns. And adient no practice in killin' UNS. Afore went off to the war. Little Bill what I nussed in is bye-bye clothes. Little Bill what told me is childish woes. 'Ow often I've tidied is poor little nose. With the of me pinafore. And now all the papers is praises ring. And e's been and e's shaken the N of the king. And I saw 'im today in the ward, poor thing. Where they're patchin' 'im up once more. And says, what d'ye think of it, Liz or Ann? And I says, well, I can't make it out, old man. You'd okay it as soon as a scrap began. When you was a bit of a kid. And whispers, on the quiet, Liz. They're makin' too much of the old damn biz. And the papers is printin' me ugly phiz. But I'm anged if I know what I did. Oh, the captain comes and says, look They're far too quiet out there, it's queer. They're up to somethin', old volunteer. To crawl in the dark and see. Then I felt me hurt like a hammer go. And up jumps a chap and says, right oh. But I chips in straight, and I says, oh no. E's a missus and kids, take me. And the next I knew I was sneakin' out. And the oozy corpses was all about. And I felt so scared I wanted to shout. And me skin fair prickled with fear. And I says, you coward. You had no right to take on the job of a man this night. Yet still I kept creepin' till, or its sight. The trench of the UNS was near. It was all so dark, it was all so still. Yet somethin' pushed me against me will. Ow, I wanted to turn. Yet I crawled until I was seein' a dim light shine. Then thinks I'll just go a little bit and see what the deuce I can make of it. And it seemed to come from the mouth of a pit. Christmas, says I, a mine. Then there's the part what I can't explain. I wanted to make for 'ome again. But somethin' was blazin' inside me brain. So I crawled to the trench instead. Then I saw the bullet EAD of a un. And stood by a rapid-fire gun. And I lifted a rock and it one. And dropped like a chunk o' lead. Then all the UNS that was underground comes up with a rush and on with a bound. And I swings that giddy old Maxim round. And belts solid and square. You see I was off me chump with fear. If I'm sellin' me life, says I, it's dear. And the trench was narrow and they was near. So I peppered the brutes for fair. So I yelled back and I yelled with fright. And the boys attacked and we 'ad a fight. And we captured a section O trench that night. Which we didn't expect to get. And they found me there with me Maxim gun. And I'd laid out a score if I'd laid out one. And I fainted away when the thing was done. And I haven't got over it yet. So that's the history Bill told me. Of course it's all on the strict QT. It wouldn't do to get out, you see. As hacked it against his will. But he's convalescent with all his might. And hopes to be fit for another fight. Say. Ain't a bit of the real all right? What's the matter with Bill? Mrs. Moriarty's boy. Mrs. Moriarty called last week, and says she to me, says she. Sure the heart of me's broken entirely now. It's the fortunate woman you are. You've still got your dinnies to cheer up your home. But me Patsy boy, where is he? Lying alone, cold as a stone, kilt in the weariful war. Oh, I'm seein' him now as I looked on him last. With his hair all curly and bright. And the wonderful, tenderful heart he had, and his eyes as he went away. Sherneen and lookin' down on me from the pride of his proper height. Sure I'll remember me boy like that if I live to me dyin' day. And just as she spoke them very same words me dinnies came in at the door. Came in from McGonagall's ould shebeen, came in from drinkin' his pay. And Mrs. Moriarty looked at him, and she didn't say any more. But she wrapped her head in her old black shawl, and she quietly went away. And what was I thinkin', I ask ye now, as I put me dinnies to bed? Wid him ravin' and cursin' one half of the night, as cold by his side I sat. Was I thinkin', the poor old woman she was. Wid her Patsy slaughtered and dead. Was I weepin' for Mrs. Moriarty? I'm not so sure about that. Mrs. Moriarty goes about wid a sherneen look on her face. Wid her grey hair under her old black shawl. And the eyes of her mother mild. Some say she's a little bit off her head, but anyway it's the case. Her temper's so swate that you never would tell. She'd be losin' her only child. And I think, as I wait up ivory night for me dinnies to come home blind. And I'm hearin' his stumblin' foot on the stair along about 3:30. Sure there's many a way of breakin' a heart. And I haven't made up me mind. Would I be Mrs. Moriarty, or Mrs. Moriarty me? My foe. A Belgian priest soldier speaks. Grr. You, cochon. Stand and fight. Show your mettle. Snarl and bite. Spawn of an accursed race. Turn and meet me face to face. Here amid the wreck and rout. Let us grip and have it out. Here where ruins rock and reel. Let us settle, steel to steel. Look. Our houses, how they spit. Sparks from brands your friends have lit. See! Our gutters running red. Bright with blood your friends have shed. Hark! Amid your drunken brawl, how our maidens shriek and call. Why have you come here alone? To this hearth's blood-spattered stone. Come to ravish, come to loot. Come to play the ghoulish brute. Ah, indeed. We well are met. Bayonet to bayonet. God! I never killed a man. Now I'll do the best I can. Rip you to the evil heart. Laugh to see the lifeblood start. Bah! You swine! I hate you so. Show you mercy? No. And no. There. I've done it. See. He lies. Death a-starring from his eyes. Glazing eyeballs, panting breath. How it's horrible, is death. Plucking at his bloody lips. With his trembling fingertips. Choking in a dreadful way. As if he would something say. In that uncouth tongue of his. Oh, how horrible death is. How I wish that he would die. So unnerved, unmanned am I. See! His twitching face is white. See! His bubbling blood is bright. Why do I not shout with glee? What strange spell is over me? There he lies, the fight was fair. Let me toss my cap in air. Why am I so silent? Why do I pray for him to die? Where is all my vengeful joy? Ugh! My foe is but a boy. I'd a brother of his age. Perished in the war's red rage. Perished in the Ypres hell. Oh, I loved my brother well. And though I be hard and grim, how it makes me think of him. He had just such flaxen hair as the lad that's lying there. Just such frank blue eyes were his. God! How horrible war is. I have reason to be gay. There is one less foe to slay. I have reason to be glad. Yet, my foe is such a lad. So I watch in dull amaze. See his dying eyes a-glaze. See his face grow glorified. See his hands outstretched and wide. To that bit of ruined wall. Where the flames have ceased to crawl. Where amid the crumbling bricks hangs a blackened crucifix. Now, oh now I understand. Quick I press it in his hand. Close his feeble fingertips. Hold it to his faltering lips. As I watch his welling blood, I would stem it if I could. God of pity, let him live. God of love, forgive, forgive. His face looked strangely, as he died. Like that of one they crucified. And in the pocket of his coat I found a letter, thus he wrote. The things I've seen. Oh, mother dear. I'm wondering can God be here? Tonight amid the drunken brawl. I saw a cross hung on a wall. I'll seek it now, and there alone. Perhaps I may atone. Ah no. 'Tis I who must atone. No other saw but God alone. Yet how can I forget the sight of that face so woeful white? Dead I kissed him as he lay. Knelt by him and tried to pray. Left him lying there at rest. Crucifix upon his breast. Not for him the pity be. Ye who pity, pity me. Crawling now the ways I trod. Blood guilty in sight of God. My job. I've got a little job on and the time is drawin' nigh. At 7 by the captain's watch I'm due to go and do it. I wants to ave it nice and neat, and pleasin' to the eye. And I 'opes the God of soldier men will see me safely through it. Because, you see, it's somethin' I ave never done before. And till you as experienced know stunts is always tryin'. The chances is I'll never ave to do it any more. At 7 by the captain's watch my little job is. Dyin'. I've got a little note to write, I'd best begin it now. I ain't much good at writin' notes, but here goes, dearest mother. I've been in many old do's, I've scraped through safe somehow. But now I'm on the very point of tacklin' another. A little job of hand grenades. They called for volunteers. They picked me out, I'm proud of it, it seems a trifle dicky. If anythin' should 'appen, well, there ain't no call for tears. And so, I 'opes this finds you well your wery lovin' Mickey. I've got a little score to settle with them swine out there. I've 'ad so many of me pals done and it's quite upset me. I've seen so much of bloody death I don't seem for to care. If I can only even up, how soon the blighters get me. I'm sorry for them perishers that corpses in a bed. I only 'opes mine's short and sweet, no linger longer lyin'. I've made a mess of life, but now I'll try to make instead. It's 7 sharp. Goodbye, old pals. A decent job in dyin'. The Song of the Pacifist. What do they matter, our headlong hates, when we take the toll of our dead? Think ye our glory and gain will pay for the torrent of blood we have shed? By the cheers of our victory will the heart of the mother be comforted? If by the victory all we mean is a broken and brooding foe, is the pomp and power of a glittering hour, and a truce for an age or so. By the clay-cold hand on the broken blade we have smitten a bootless blow. If by the triumph we only prove that the sword we sheath is bright, that justice and truth and love endure, that freedom's throned on the height, that the feebler folks shall be unafraid, that might shall never be right. If this be all, by the blood-drenched plains, by the havoc of fire and fear, by the rending roar of the war of wars, by the dead so doubly dear, then our victory is a vast defeat, and it mocks us as we cheer. Victory. There can be but one, hallowed in every land. When by the graves of our common dead we who were foemen stand, and in the hush of our common grief hand is tendered to hand. Triumph. Yes, when out of the dust in the splendor of their release, the spirits of those who fell go forth and they hallow our hearts to peace. And, brothers in pain, with worldwide voice, we clamor that war shall cease. Glory. Aye, when from blackest loss shall be born most radiant gain. When over the gory fields shall rise a star that never shall wane. Then, and then only, our dead shall know that they have not fallen in vain. When our children's children shall talk of war as a madness that may not be. When we thank our God for our grief today, and blazon from sea to sea. In the name of the dead the banner of peace. That will be victory. The twins. There were 2 brothers, John and James. And when the town went up in flames, to save the house of James John then turned, and lo, his own was gone. And when the Great World War began, to volunteer John promptly ran. And while he learned live bombs to lob, James stayed at home and sneaked his job. John came home with a missing limb. That didn't seem to worry him. But oh, it set his brain awhirl, to find that James had sneaked his girl. Time passed. John tried his grief to drown. Today James owns 1/2 the town. His army contracts riches yield. And John? Well, search the potter's field. The song of the soldier born. Give me the scorn of the stars and a peak defiant. Wail of the pines and a wind with the shout of a giant. Night and a trail unknown and a heart reliant. Give me to live and love in the old, bold fashion. A soldier's billet at night and a soldier's ration. A heart that leaps to the fight with a soldier's passion. For I hold as a simple faith there's no denying. The trade of a soldier's the only trade worth plying. The death of a soldier's the only death worth dying. So let me go and leave your safety behind me. Go to the spaces of hazard where nothing shall bind me. Go till the word is war, and then you will find me. Then you will call me and claim me because you will need me. cheer me and gird me and into the battle wrath speed me. And when it's over, spurn me and no longer heed me. For guile nor purse gold greased are the arms you carry. With deeds of paper you fight and with pens you parry. You call on the hounds of the law your foes to harry. You with your art for its own sake, posing and prinking. You with your live and be merry, eating and drinking. You with your peace at all hazard, from bright blood shrinking. Fools! I will tell you now, though the red rain patters, and 1,000,000 of men go down, it's little it matters. There's the flag upflung to the stars, though it streams in tatters. There's a glory gold never can buy to yearn and to cry for. There's a hope that's as old as the sky to suffer and sigh for. There's a faith that outdazzles the sun to martyr and die for. Ah no! It's my dream that war will never be ended. That men will perish like men, and valor be splendid. That the flag by the sword will be served, and honor defended. That the tale of my fights will never be ancient story. That though my eye may be dim and my beard be hoary, I'll die as a soldier dies on the field of glory. So give me a strong right arm for a wrong's swift righting. Stave of a song on my lips as my sword is smiting. Death in my boots may be, but fighting, fighting. Afternoon tea. As I was saying. No, thank you, I never take cream with my tea. Cows weren't allowed in the trenches, got out of the habit, YC. As I was saying, our colonel leaped up like a youngster of 10. Come on, lads. He shouts, and we'll show 'em. And he sprang to the head of the men. Then some bally thing seemed to trip him. And he fell on his face with a slam. Oh, he died like a true British soldier. And the last word he uttered was, damn. And hang it. I loved the old fellow, and something just burst in my brain. And I cared no more for the bullets than I would for a shower of rain. 'Twas an AWFLY funny sensation, I say, this is jolly nice tea. I felt as if something had broken, by gad. I was suddenly free. Free for a glorified moment, beyond regulations and laws. Free just to wallow in slaughter, as the chap of the Stone Age was. So on I went joyously nursing a berserker rage of my own. And though all my chaps were behind me, feeling most frightful why alone. With the bullets and shells ding-donging. And the crock and the swish of the shrap. And I found myself humming, Ben Bolt. Will you pass me the sugar, old chap? 2 lumps, please. What was I saying? Oh yes, the jolly old dash. We simply ripped through the barrage, and on with a roar and a crash. My fellows, old Nick couldn't stop 'em. On they went with a yell. Till they tripped on the Boche's sandbags, nothing much left to tell. A trench so tattered and battered that even a rat couldn't live. Some corpses tangled and mangled, wire you could pass through a sieve. The jolly old guns had bilked us, cheated us out of our show. And my fellows were simply yearning for a red mix-up with the foe. So I shouted to them to follow, and on we went roaring again. Battle-tuned and exultant, on in the leaden rain. Then all at once a machine gun barks from a bit of a bank. And our major roars in a fury, we've got to take it on flank. He was running like fire to lead us, when down like a stone he comes. As full of typewriter bullets as a pudding is full of plums. So I took his job and we got 'em. By gad. We got 'em like rats. Down in a deep shell crater we fought like Kilkenny cats. 'Twas pleasant just for a moment to be sheltered and out of range. With someone you saw to go for, it made an agreeable change. And the Boches that missed my bullets, my chaps gave a bayonet jolt. And all the time, I remember, I whistled and hummed Ben Bolt. Well, that little job was over, so hell for leather we ran. On to the second-line trenches, that's where the fun began. For though we had strafed 'em like fury, there still were some Boches about. And my fellows, teeth set and eyes glaring, like terriers routed out. Then I stumbled on one of their dugouts, and I shouted, "Is anyone there?" And a voice, "Yes, one, but I'm wounded," came faint up the narrow stair. And my man was descending before me, when sudden a cry. A shot. I say, this cake is delicious. You make it yourself, do you not? My man. Oh, they killed the poor devil, for if there was one there was 10. So after I'd bombed sufficient I went down at the head of my men. And 4 tried to sneak from a bunk hole. But we cornered the rotters all right. I'd rather not go into details, 'twas messy that bit of the fight. But all of it's beastly messy, let's talk of pleasanter things. The skirts that the girls are wearing, ridiculous fluffy things. So short that they show. Oh, hang it. Well, if I must, I must. We cleaned out the second trench line, bomb and bayonet thrust. And on we went to the third one, quite callous to crumping by now. And some of our fellows who'd passed us were making a deuce of a row. And my chaps, well, I just couldn't hold them. It's strange how it is with gore. In some ways it's just like whiskey, if you taste it you must have more. Their eyes were like beacons of battle, by gad, sir. They couldn't be calmed. So I headed bang for the bomb belt, racing like Billy be damned. Oh, it didn't take long to arrive there, those who arrived at all. The machine guns were certainly chronic, the shindy enough to appall. Oh yes, I omitted to tell you, I'd wounds on the chest and the head. And my shirt was torn to a gun rag, and my face bloodgummy and red. I'm thinking I looked like a madman, I fancy I felt one too. Half naked and swinging a rifle. God! What a glorious do! As I sit here in old Piccadilly, sipping my afternoon tea, I see a blind, bullet-chipped devil, and it's hard to believe that it's me. I see a wild, war-damaged demon, smashing out left and right. And humming Ben Bolt rather loudly, and hugely enjoying the fight. And as for my men, may God bless them. I've loved them ever since then. They fought like the shining angels. They're the pick o' the land, my men. And the trench was a reeking shambles, not a Boche to be seen alive. So I thought, but on rounding a traverse I came on a covey of 5. And 4 of them threw up their flippers. But the 5th chap, a sergeant, was game. And though I'd a bomb and revolver he came at me just the same. A sporty thing that, I tell you. I just couldn't blow him to hell. So I swung to the point of his jawbone, and down like a 9-pin he fell. And then when I'd brought him to reason, he wasn't half bad, that Hun. He bandaged my head and my short rib as well as the doc could have done. So back I went with my botches, as gay as a 2-year-old colt. And it suddenly struck me as rummy, I still was humming Ben Bolt. And now, by Jove! How I've bored you. You've just let me babble away. Let's talk of the things that matter, your car or the newest play. The Mourners. I look into the aching womb of night. I look across the mist that masks the dead. The moon is tired and gives but little light. The stars have gone to bed. The earth is sick and seems to breathe with pain. A lost wind whimpers in a mangled tree. I do not see the foul, corpse-cluttered plain. The dead I do not see. The slain I would not see, and so I lift my eyes from out the shambles where they lie. When lo! A million woman faces drift. Like pale leaves through the sky. The cheeks of some are channeled deep with tears. But some are tearless, with wild eyes that stare into the shadow of the coming years. Of fathomless despair. And some are young, and some are very old. And some are rich, some poor beyond belief. Yet all are strangely like, set in the mold of everlasting grief. They fill the vast of heaven, face on face. And then I see one weeping with the rest. Whose eyes beseech me for a moment's space. Oh, eyes I love the best. Nay, I but dream. The sky is all forlorn. And there's the plain of battle writhing red. God pity them, the women folk who mourn. How happy are the dead. L'Envoy. My job is done, my rhymes are ranked and ready. My word battalions marching verse by verse. Here stanza companies are none too steady. Their print platoons are weak, but might be worse. And as in marshaled order I review them. My type brigades, unfearful of the fray. My eyes that seek their faults are seeing through them. Immortal visions of an epic day. It seems I'm in a giant bowling alley. The hidden heavies round me crash and thud. A spire snaps like a pipe stem in the valley. The rising sun is like a ball of blood. Along the road the fantassins are pouring. And some are gay as fire, and some steel stern. Then back again I see the red tide pouring. Along the reeking road from Hebuturn. And once again I seek Hill 67. The Hun lines grey and peaceful in my sight. When suddenly the rosy air is riven. A coal-box blots the Piou-piou on my right. Or else to evil Carnoy I am stealing. Past sentinels who hail with bated breath. Where not a cigarette sparks dim revealing. May hint our mission in that zone of death. I see across the shrapnel-seeded meadows. The jagged rubble heap of La Boiselle. Blood-guilty Fricourt brooding in the shadows. And Thiepval's chateau empty as a shell. Down Albert's riven streets the moon is leering. The hanging Virgin takes its bitter ray. And all the road from Hamel I am hearing. The silver rage of bugles over Bray. Once more within the sky's deep sapphire hollow. I sight a swimming taube, a fairy thing. I watch the angry shell flame flash and follow. In feather puffs that flick a tilted wing. And then it fades, with shrapnel mirrors flashing. The flashes bloom to blossoms lily gold. The batteries are rancorously crashing. And life is just as full as it can hold. O spacious days of glory and of grieving. O sounding hours of luster and of loss. Let us be glad we lived you, still believing. The God who gave the cannon gave the cross. Let us be sure amid these seething passions. The lusts of blood and hate our souls abhor. The power that order out of chaos fashions. Smites fiercest in the wrath-red forge of war. Have faith. Fight on. Amid the battle hell. Love triumphs, freedom beacons, all is well.